Here in the friendly confines in Arlington. Cowboys put a whooping on the LA Rams 43-20. Zach Wolchuck alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Brian Broaddus here at the Miller Lite Club inside AT&T Stadium. That was fun, and Brian, leading into this one, there were some areas of concern from the LA Rams. The Cowboys secondary, especially one Donon Bland, who recorded his third pick six of the season, leads the NFL in interceptions with 4, put to rest a lot of those concerns early in a dominant first half.
Yeah, I was really surprised how much they went after Bland in this game, where I was really concerned, and we saw it early in the way that the Rams run their routes, those crossing routes, and the way they make you chase routes. And there were a couple times where Bland had to chase routes with Atwell and Nakua, and was able to defend the ball, make it contested catches. I'm not challenging Donon Bland if I'm watching tape.
No.
But overall, you just got to give the Cowboys a lot of credit. With the pressure was going to be a problem for Stafford, but there's times where you watch Stafford handle the pressure well, and then he gets the ball out. We talked to JB Long, the Rams play-by-play guy, and he was talking about the ability for Stafford to step up and then deliver the ball on those crossing routes. I just never felt like that he was ever really comfortable in the pocket.
No.
Throws off the back foot. There were men around him quite a bit. The Parsons was in there at the time that it was a review of the ball going forward. There were just so many things that they did. They did a great job, I felt like, of holding up not only on the outside, but holding up on the middle where they didn't allow Stafford to move in the pocket.
Absolutely, and Micah really rushed over the center in the middle a lot early in this one, and then just feasted on former Plano Wildcat local product Joe Noteboom, who was in there at tackle for the LA Rams. Also TCU Horned Frog there. Brett Rippon, you mentioned, Stafford got banged up right before the half with that finger. They end up scoring to start the second half. They have that elaborate two-point play, very reminiscent of the Philly special.
Philly special, it's exactly what they ran.
And then Brett Rippon comes in, and Rippon went 5 for 10, 42 yards. We'll see about Stafford's injury moving forward if you're an LA Ram fan. But Dak Prescott for the Cowboys was absolutely brilliant. I think you could say probably his best game of the season. Dak was on it today, 25 of 31, 304 yards, 4 touchdowns. Did have the one red zone interception where Sean McEwen tips it up in the air and it ends up getting picked. He also had 19 yards on the ground. I think just noticing coming out of the bye week, things that really worked against the Chargers, getting Dak outside of the pocket, some of those design quarterback rollouts, and of course Dak now utilizing his legs more. It's just another element, and he talked about it leading up to this game, to help this offense out. It will not only help Tony Pollard in the running game, and Pollard finished with a respectable stat line as well, averaging over 4 yards a carry, 53 yards, but this was a sensational Dak Prescott today.
Now, Prescott was outstanding, his ability to keep his eyes down the field. There were questions about the routes and how with the Rams, the crossing routes, downfield routes, Higbee, the tight end. There were a lot of questions about all the, coming into this game, but how you were going to cover. We gave the Rams receivers and skill guys a lot of questions, but we gave their secondary a lot of credit too for the way that they were able to play on the outside. And the Cowboys did a great job. CeeDee Lamb did a great job. Ferguson. When he was able to get open a couple of different times.
How about that seam throw from Dak? And we've seen him hit it a couple of times, and whether it was Schoonmaker dropping it, Hendershot dropping it, this time they hit Ferguson and he makes a big catch, and that might be the best throw Dak has.
I'll tell you what, that was a great throw. And what was so difficult in this game is the first series of the game, Dallas couldn't block anybody. You're honestly worried.
2 for Aaron Donald.
You're worried that if that Young and Donald and others are going to just wreck shop all day. The Cowboys did not have an answer for some of the early pass rush that the Rams were generating up front. And I'm interested to look at that all 22 and say, oh, hey, whoa, what were the issues? Cowboys have had some problems when there have been twist fronts.
Yes.
When there's been movement and twist fronts and things, they've had some issues. But, man, they were able to kind of hold things together. When Dak had to run, as you mentioned, Zach, he was able to use those legs in order to buy himself a second chance or to get to the outside in order to get a first down.
And then, of course, CeeDee Lamb was absolutely magnificent today. 12 catches on 14 targets, 158 yards, a couple of touchdowns for CeeDee Lamb, who, I mean, this one was tough. Like, who are you going to go with for your player of the game? Is it going to be CeeDee Lamb? Is it going to be Dak Prescott? But CeeDee, 12 catches today, established a single-game career high, which surpassed his previous of 11, which was done against the Jets earlier this year. CeeDee also surpassing 300 receptions today, becoming the fastest Cowboys receiver to 300 grabs, doing it in 56 games, and 4,000 receiving yards, becoming the second fastest Cowboy to accomplish that behind Bob Hayes.
Yeah.
Bullet Bob Hayes, the Hall of Famer, who did it in 52 games. Good things happen when you're throwing to your best player in CeeDee Lamb. 2 weeks ago, he was frustrated in San Francisco. I don't think it's a coincidence that the last two outings against the Chargers, now against the Rams, that's been a vocal point of the offense.
Very zone-heavy teams. And what we've learned about CeeDee Lamb is his ability to find space. And whether it's that up the field, the in-breaking routes, the underneath stuff, if they free him up with some mesh routes, things like that to kind of get him going. But he did a great job of finding space in this football game. And Prescott did a good job of getting him the football. That's what you got to do, though. If you got a receiver that's going to run routes like CeeDee Lamb will run and get that separation, you've got to find a way to get him the ball, and Dak did a great job of that today.
He really did. 877-881-1053. 877-881-1053, the number to call, the number to text. The official postgame show of your Dallas Cowboys, brought to you by Pepsi, made for Cowboys watching in today's game between the LA Rams and the Dallas Cowboys here at AT&T Stadium, brought to you by American Airlines, the official airline of your Dallas Cowboys. Zach Wolchuck alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Brian Broaddus after a 43-20 Cowboy win over the Rams, improving to 5-2. Looked for a moment Cowboys might get some help within the division. Commanders played the Eagles very tough. Of course, that's the next opponent next Sunday afternoon in Filthy. The Eagles, though, able to outlast the Commanders again. So that will set up a battle for first place at Lincoln Financial Stadium next week. But today, you talk about all three phases, and Mike McCarthy talking right now at the podium. We'll hear from Coach along with Dak Prescott. Of course, the voice of your Cowboys, Brad Sham, as well, as the postgame show rolls on. But Turpin, almost 2 house calls today. Did have one that was called back. He had a big-time return as well to set up a short field and a touchdown. He had the blocked punt, and they blocked the punt last year in this same game against the Rams at SoFi Stadium. Today it was Sam Williams. How about Sam Williams lining up as a gunner?
Special teams tackle as well down the field. You know, Sam Williams doing whatever he needs to do to try and help this football team. You kind of felt that Sam Williams was going to be a factor as an edge rusher for the Cowboys, but it's really now been on special teams. That just shows you, though, the athletic ability he has. His, you know, for his ability to run down the field, to avoid, you know, to be able to get in there and block. It was a nice game inside. We talk about the twist fronts, the movement fronts. You know, when you run, you take guys out of the play, you take blockers with you, you get the penetration, you get the run through, and then you get the block right there. So great job by Sam. Great job by Bones Fossil on all the special team stuff today. You know, Aubrey with the long field goal. Man, to me, I'm thinking 58 yards. Why do you give the ball to the Rams right there? No, don't do that. But they, you know, the confidence that he can make those field goals, he's done a great job so far as getting those field goals home. But overall, great job on special teams for the Dallas Cowboys.
Brandon Butter Aubrey, as Dak Prescott coined that nickname, also a Plano alum, happens to be my alma mater as well. I do love me some Butter Aubrey, and he has just been absolutely brilliant to start his young career. Of course, he just had that one miss on the point after try against the Giants.
Very first one, right?
Perfect ever since.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect. And it's turning into a weapon because now you can see, I mean, he said earlier this week he made a 68-yarder at the Star, and Mike McCarthy is starting to now say, all right, I'm confident in you, 58 yards, let's go out there, let's get those points. And that was a big field goal early in this game.
Yeah, there's going to be some games, too, where there's going to be some conditions where you're going to need his big leg. You know, you're playing games that against the Commanders outside. You're going to be playing the Eagles next week outside. Buffalo is going to be an outside game. You're going to need some leg strength. You're going to need some confidence. And those type of games, you're probably going to need some points. And it's nice to know that Mike McCarthy could send him out on the field and they can get those points when needed.
Cowboys defense when it comes to defending the run, right? That's been a topic. Everybody's going to line up. They want to try and run the football on them. Now, granted, score starts to get out of hand.
Yeah.
Rams did score 14 unanswered between, of course, the end of the half there and the start of the third quarter. But overall, you hold the Rams to 92 yards rushing, and this was a team, I know you talked about it with Eric in the pregame,
right.
They ran for $140 against the Steelers a week ago, had success running the football. Their offensive line they were feeling pretty good about with the rookie Steve Avila from TCU. Today, Cowboys run defense, anchored, of course, by Tank Lawrence, as it always is, really performed well.
They did a great job. As much credit as you want to give the Cowboys in the secondary for the way that they were able to play passing. I was just really worried and concerned about how much this Rams wide receiver crew was going to affect the Cowboys in the secondary, and it really, really didn't happen all that much. But you mentioned that, Damone Clark once again with 6 tackles in this game. It's going to start up front. Him, Marquise Bell. I saw Marquise Bell a lot down in the box, down playing coverage, down affecting the run game there. So really a kind of a complete game when you look at what he was able to do.
Really was. So much to break down. We want to hear from you as well. 877-881-1053. The number to call, the number to text. We will get head coach Mike McCarthy, who yet again is victorious following the bye week. An excellent job with play calling today as well on the Cowboys' victory. We'll hear from Dak Prescott, Brad Sham, you, and more. You can also check us out on Twitch and on YouTube as the official postgame show of your Dallas Cowboys rolls on. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
SeatGeek has your back no matter what kind of Cowboys fan you are. So whether you're a diehard fan or a don't really care.
Cowboys. Please game responsibly. Sleep Number. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Buffalo Wild Wings. And by Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. It's Miller time.
Prescott back, stands, throws it over the middle, caught. Lamb with a little pivot away at the 30-yard line, up to the 35, and he's got a first down at the 40. Look at CeeDee Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb, absolutely brilliant today, as of course was his quarterback, Dak Prescott. But CeeDee has become the first Cowboy in history to have 2 games of 150 yards or better, and then also go ahead with 2 touchdowns. He did it last year in Green Bay at Lambeau Field. And CeeDee today, absolutely sensational. Career high, as we mentioned, in catches with 12. And this is back-to-back games now where he is performing like a bona fide number 1 receiver after we had received calls and texts that, oh, he's not quite that guy. CeeDee Lamb is him. And he deserves to be talked about as one of the best wide receivers in football.
No, he is outstanding. His ability, I mentioned it earlier, to find space when he has to run against or threaten a defensive back, he closes the cushion, and then he's able to make his breaks off that. There are a lot of times where CeeDee Lamb is open, on plays. I mean, there's separation there where that, that's what you have to have. We always, those metrics that are so important to quarterbacks are the ones where separation, where it's the difference between a 1-yard throw and a 3-yard throw with separation, and the quarterbacks and how they're able to fit those things in there. And Dak did a great job of locating him today in this game, but Lamb did an even better job of getting open and finishing. They caught a huge break, by the way. I went back and I was looking at my notes on that first drive with the defensive holding. I mean, they are really dead to rights. And all of a sudden they get that opportunity to maintain the drive, and then they scored the touchdown. So, those sometimes you have to overcome some poor starts, but you catch a good break along the way in order to keep a drive going, and then they get that first touchdown.
Yeah, that first drive, the 10-play 75-yarder, and that's where it started off. Oh, my goodness, Dak is under duress. There's a lot of pressure.
Couldn't drop. Couldn't pass block at all.
Right, and then that third down, it looks like they're going to go 3 and out.
Yeah.
And then a great point by you, that illegal contact downfield extends the drive. Then you had the 18-yard touchdown strike from Dak to Ferguson, and it was just on from there. You did have the Rams bounce back. They go on a 10-play drive of their own, but the Cowboys defense tightens up in the red zone. They hold them to 3. So it's 7-3, and then after that you get the Brandon Aubrey field goal, and it really was the Donon Bland pick 6.
Yeah.
That ended up tilting things 17-3. You're thinking, oh, here we go, and then the blocked punt from Sam Williams. Cowboys were off to the races there with a dominant first half, and they go on to win it 43-20. Zach Wolchuck alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Brian Broaddus in the Miller Lite Club here on the official postgame show of your Dallas Cowboys. And I don't think we can say enough about Donon Bland and what he's been able to do. It's interesting because you brought up, man, why are you attacking Donon Bland?
I'm wondering the same thing myself.
Because on the
I don't
other
have words
side,
about that. And that's nothing against Gilmore on the other side. But Bland is, think about Bland made a tackle early in this game. When the Rams came back to kicked the field goal, it was a third down play. Ball goes into Bland's side. He makes a tackle and keeps it from being a first down.
It might have been a touchdown.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He saves.
Yep, absolutely.
So that's like a 4-point play right there.
Was.
He saves a touchdown. They kick the extra point. It's a 7-3 game now. But that's the kind of things when you go at a guy like Bland, he's physical, he's competitive, he covers well, he's going to tackle, and he's going to compete. You see what his ball skills are like.
Yep.
Every time he throws an interception to him, it's like a pick 6. So yeah, teams are going to find a way. It's like when you attack Diggs. Why? Okay,
good luck.
Good luck. And I don't know how you don't watch the All-22 and just go, man, I'm staying away from 26's side.
Yeah.
All the routes, and maybe teams are that scared of Gilmore, and that's a good thing. But boy, they got other areas. Gilmore, Jordan Lewis in the slots, another one you might want to look at. But man, throwing it 26 to me, that's at your own peril right there.
And Lewis early made a couple of good plays as well out of that slot. But, I mean, if we were just going roles reversed, if we're a Rams post game, we'd be thinking you got speed and guys like Tutu Atwell and Cooper Kupp, that quickness. You watch on tape, Stephon Gilmore, still a savvy veteran that's playing well, but not quite running as well. So maybe you can find a mismatch there. They continue to go ahead and test the second-year stud, Donon Bland, who's got to now start to get Defensive Player of the Year consideration. I'm not trying to say you're putting him ahead of Micah Parsons there, but he leads the league now in interceptions with 4 and 3 pick sixes, of course, 2 against New England, 1 today. I mean, anytime he's playing at AT&T Stadium, he's finding a way to get in the end zone.
The Cowboys are going to definitely need him next week, though. With those horses that Philadelphia is going to run out there. A.J.
Brown has been absolutely brilliant. Philly did go on to win. They knocked off the Commanders 38-31 at FedEx Field in Landover, Maryland. And then it's overtime right now between the Jets and the Giants. What an ugly game that's been. They're tied at 10. You do have Zach Wilson with 240 yards, a touchdown. Garrett Wilson's now ballooned his stat line up to 7 catches for 100 yards. Saquon Barkley, 36 carries today for the Giants for 128 yards. So we'll monitor that one for you before it goes final. Jets currently have the ball right now at the Giants' 15-yard line, trying to go ahead and get the win. That would put the Giants down to 2-6. Of course, with the Commanders losing, they drop to 3-5. Eagles improving to 7-1. As we mentioned, the Cowboys' next opponent. Cowboys at 5-2. That will be your battle for first place in the division next week.
Yeah, that's we'll put this one to bed this evening here in the next couple hours, and then the focus will be on how to find ways to deal with Philadelphia, their defense, their offense. But Philadelphia's looking at the same thing, that Dallas's offense looks like, at least the last couple of weeks, looks like it's on a nice little roll.
Cowboys postgame, of course, brought to you by WinStar. Home to over 8,500 of your favorite electronic games, more than 1,000 table game seats, 1,400 luxury hotel rooms, and it's always a good time at a WinStar World Casino and Resort, the casino of the Dallas Cowboys, as the postgame party rolls on here in the Miller Lite Club at AT&T Stadium after a 43-20 Cowboys victory. How about this from Next Gen Stats for Dak Prescott? Dak completed 8 of 11 passes over 10 air yards for 153 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Been a problem.
It's tied for the most touchdowns in a game this season. And he also set highs in completion percentage over expected and success rate. What's fascinating is his pressure rate was a season low, 21%.
Right.
And you see the corrections that were made. I don't even know if you had a lead offensive line play. First series certainly didn't look like it, but it was a good adjustment made by Mike McCarthy when you talk about the moving pocket, but also Dak Prescott's ability to get outside and extend plays.
I think that Prescott did a great job of understanding where he needed to be in order to try and get the ball off. There were a couple times where it looked like that things downfield were a little muddy for him. There was no hesitation with Dak. He took off running when he needed to. He manipulated the pocket well. If he had to slide a little bit to his left and then throw, or he had to go to his right and run, whatever he had to do, he was up to the task in this football game. And that's what they're going to have. They're going to have that where he's going to, generate those third downs for you. If teams are going to play man coverage, turn their back and run, and there's green grass ahead of him, Dak needs to take advantage of that, and he surely did today.
And he absolutely did. Now, when it comes to the trade deadline, I know that's been a conversation, as that's going to come up on Tuesday. Jerry Jones, talking to the media post-game, said it doesn't look like we'll be doing anything.
Yeah.
Do you think that is just a reaction to you're feeling great right now, you just got a big win, the team's playing well, or maybe the window's still open and Jerry's playing a little coy with the media?
With Jerry saying that the way he did, I felt like the other day he went out to the media with the intent at practice of throwing chum in the water. And it looks like they went final. Jets beat the Giants 13-10. But Jerry went with the intent of throwing that chum in the water and trying to, and knowing damn good and well that any words that Jerry Jones speaks are going to make national news. So everybody that covers the Cowboys, or teams that cover all the media members that work, a lot of these organizations, the front office, have these Twitter accounts that are, that you don't know who they are, but they're kind of checking everybody out. And Jerry Jones is out there, saying, "Hey, we're open for business," kind of a thing. But you never know. You never know what kind of deals somebody might get to a point in time as these games are rolling off, where they're like, "Hey, listen, we're season's over for us. We're looking to move on. We've got this play." And if it fits Jerry Jones' eye, well, then they'll surely take your call. But if it's something, I don't think they're going out soliciting opportunities right now.
Yeah, and at 5-2, and now this is the third consecutive season under Mike McCarthy. They've started 5-2 or better. Cowboys have now done this 8 times over the course of the last since the 21st century, since 2003. Really, they've gone 10-6, 13-3, 11-5, 12-4, 13-3, 12-5, 12-5. All teams made it to the playoffs. This bodes very, very well for your postseason outlook, certainly. But did see a report today, and we've talked like positions. If you were going to look for one, corner certainly is one.
Corner, I mean, we'll see with the linebacking situation.
Saw Rashaan Evans today. We got to go back and look at how he played.
Yeah, Evans got a lot of late burn for you right there. I didn't see him initially early and stuff.
Finished with 1 tackle recorded.
Right. So this was something. Try and get him acclimated. Try and get him ready to play. He did get an opportunity today because the score got out of hand a little bit. But linebacker, I'm still thinking about a corner situation. If there's somebody out there that makes a lot of sense, it's a young guy that can give them. I just think that if you found somebody else that could play opposite Gilmore, and I mean this in a way when they go nickel. Yeah, I think Bland is a nickel. Could eliminate any slot player you got.
I mean, you had an elite secondary with Diggs, Gilmore, and Bland inside.
Right.
And now you're elevating everybody. Right. It's more pressure on Lewis and Gilmore.
That's what you had with Diggs. You had that ability. You had Bland be able to play inside, and he could just eliminate anything in the slot.
Yeah.
I think there's a little bit more questions about with Jordan Lewis and that cover ability right there. But it was really, really. It's good to see Bland play as well as he's played right now.
Well, what's interesting is Washington, and especially with the loss today, they are sellers. And the 3 players of note that was reported today that they're expected to move at the deadline, one of the 3, Montez Sweat, Chase Young, and Jonathan Allen.
Yeah.
And boy, oh boy, Jonathan Allen sure would be a fun piece as well. Of course, that would be a big price to pay, certainly, if you were going to want to go ahead and make that happen. But Jerry's saying a trade unlikely, so we'll have to monitor that, but I'm sure that will be a talking point. 877-881-1053, of course, always the number to call, the number to text. After a 43-20 Cowboys win over the Rams, 11 in a row here at AT&T Stadium, and we are joined now by the voice of your Dallas Cowboys, Mr. Brad Sham. And Brad, a lot to take away from this one. This one was fun this afternoon. What are some of the things that stood out to you most?
Special teams.
Yeah.
Sam Williams, the biggest gunner I've ever seen in my life.
Right? What an athletic play.
And I just talked to him. He just loved it. He loved doing it.
Yeah.
Try to keep him off the field now, right?
Right.
He said, who's going to block me?
No,
nobody.
And he's right. But really, the game turned with, Bland's interception puts him up, 14-3, 17-3. Okay, it's Matthew Stafford, and he's got all those receivers. And then when you get the block punt and Turpin's return, short field to the touchdown, and then they really started feeling the confidence. So that's one thing, Zach. And I think the other thing is, I don't know. I just asked CeeDee Lamb about this. I don't know if it was just him saying, "Don't forget about me," if it was just him having bad body language but how do you not utilize that weapon? And he showed you again why today. And the same thing with Cooks. Mm-hmm. And, at some point they'll have Tolbert more involved. I think Ferguson's a weapon, not just a guy. And so when you start taking advantage of the things that you have, then you've got a chance. Then you can play complementary football. If you play with both hands or one hand tied behind your back, which I felt like they were doing for a while, then you're kind of getting in your own way. I think they got out of their way today.
Yeah, you know what, Brad? To me, watching Dak play now, the first several plays of the game, My gosh, you're probably having flashbacks of Troy Aikman playing against Philadelphia. What, 19?
He got sacked 3 times. Only 2 of them counted.
Gosh,
wow.
that was incredible. And you're going, wait a minute, is this going to be one of those days where the Dallas Cowboys cannot block anybody up front? But they did settle down. But what I noticed and took away from Dak today, eyes downfield. Eyes downfield, routes. It wasn't about dinking and dunking down the field. It was about, hey, let's chunk this thing and see what happens. With it. I mean, it wasn't just chunking the ball. It was more like guys were getting open, and he was finding them, eyes downfield, and they were able to finish some plays.
I agree.
Today.
It was with a purpose.
Yeah.
And it's funny. You played football. You watched a million games. It's funny how these things turn on one thing.
Right.
If they don't get that defensive
that's what we were just
holding
talking
call, who knows what
my
happened?
goodness. Right.
But from that point, everything that you just described, he was aggressive. It looked like, I don't know if this is something that's measurable, but he's aggressive in the way that he is viewing the field, attacking the field. It was almost as though he said, okay, I got another chance because of that penalty. Screw it, we're not having any more of that nonsense. They only ran the ball one time on that possession. Yeah. And so it looked like it was going to be a passing day, and I think that's fine.
With Dak, and we talked about using his legs, and it seems like that has now become part of the offense. How important do you think that is now, not only just running when he sees it, but also the moving pocket, getting him out of the pocket? It seems like that's where he's at his best.
Well, I think he's an acceptable pocket passer if you're going to give him 3-4 seconds to throw. I don't think that he's inferior standing back there in a nice, clean pocket. I think I would just – it may be the same thing, Zach. It's said a different way.
Sure.
But I do think that he's really good moving the pocket. I will say this, don't blitz him.
No.
If you blitz him, you better get him because he's one of the best I've seen at reading the blitz and finding the guy who is going to be open. But moving the pocket works. The waggles work, the half rolls and the boots. He's good throwing, intermediate to short on the run. And he's just a good enough runner and smart enough to know, okay, that's not there, but I can make that.
Yeah.
And that's, it's a different kind of weapon than Lamar Jackson or maybe even Jalen Hurts. But it's an effective weapon, and as long as it's in the arsenal, that can affect the way people play you.
I'll tell you one thing is that Dak playing against the blitz, these running backs, whether it's, Pollard isn't as big as a minute. I should say that he's a little bit of a shorter guy. He's a thicker guy. But if you look at him in the way that he steps up and identifies, like you could see from where we're sitting, and you can see it from your spot in the press box as well, Brad. These guys are coming at depth.
Right.
And he's stepping up and being square and taking on him, Rico Dowdle. Really nice job of being physical to give Dak the opportunity to let it fly.
That is, of course, something that was almost innate in Ezekiel Elliott. It was one of the best things that he did.
Yeah.
And Pollard, his first couple of years, was just not good doing that. But he has become not just not a liability.
Right.
I mean, I've seen 2, maybe 3 times this year where he has had to do one of the most difficult things for a back, which is to cross the pocket, come from the right side, across
and not
the
get in the quarterback's way.
And not get in the quarterback's way and pick up a guy coming from his other side.
Right.
And Pollard is now nailing those guys and allowing the play to happen. And, Dowdle, I think, he's big and physical. I am very much for their slightly increasing Dowdle's load. I think he's such a violent runner and so different than Pollard. And I just thought until today, maybe even including today. Now, I know you've written a lot during the week about the offensive line and how they're doing. And I'm not smart enough to know how much of whatever the offensive line is doing that they don't want to be doing, how much of that is scheme and how much of that is just they're not playing well. But I do know that if they want to be the offense they want to be, they have to be able to run. And we have not seen the explosive running Tony Pollard, the guy who took that little draw it up in the dirt pass 60 yards against the Chargers. We haven't seen that very much yet. He had maybe one or two little runs today. There were a couple more that, in the last couple of years, you'd think maybe he'd have exploded through. I wonder, everyone says no, so what do I know? I just wonder if the increased load is just wearing on him enough physically that it makes him a little bit less explosive all the time. I don't know if that's true or not.
I think you're onto really something there. Show me the tape where it says throw the ball at Donon Bland. If you could point me out the game, the games I need to watch where it says, hey, good game plan. Let's write it on the grease board today. Throw at 26.
Yeah,
that's going to be our plan today.
Was Kupp not the alleged intended receiver?
I thought he was.
Yes.
I thought he was.
And here's one of the most shocking things about the Rams' first third of the season. Half for them now, because they haven't had their bye.
Right.
The extent, and I understand Kupp missed 4 weeks, the extent to which Kupp and Stafford don't seem to be in sync, and that play was a great example. I mean, Kupp ran one way and Stafford threw another way, and 2 years ago that wasn't happening at all.
No, not at all.
And that, of course, Bland was like, I'll hear about this from him, but Bland was like Larry Brown in the Super Bowl in '95.
Thank you
Neil
very
O'Donnell
much.
threw him the ball. What's he supposed to do?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, exactly. Didn't you think that was the case?
I was
Doron here. I haven't seen you run in a while.
I'm surprised that they throw the ball. And this is no offense
to Gilmore,
or to Lewis or any of those guys.
Right.
I'm just saying I'm not going into a game looking at throwing the ball at Donon Bland. I just, I could be.
Well,
if I was doing the Rams post game right now, I would say, guys, remember we talked about in the pregame show today.
Make sure to get it to Bland.
Make sure we throw the ball at Bland. That would not be part of my pregame.
But you
stuff.
watched the tape of the game 2 weeks ago,
right?
And Keenan Allen beat him like a drum twice.
Right.
Turned him inside out, and Herbert just couldn't connect with him.
Yep.
Right.
That could have been 2 touchdowns.
Right.
And then we're viewing him differently. The one thing about Diggs is that he was like leading the league, or has led the league in the last 2 years in knockdowns.
Right.
Forget about the interceptions. He had really become a complete corner.
Yes.
I think Bland is still growing in that area, but don't throw him a competitive ball.
No, that's the thing about the double move stuff. You're absolutely right, but he's the one guy that has, I think, all the skill. That tackle he made, we were talking about Zach. The tackle he made that forced the Rams field
on
goal.
the string, saving a touchdown.
I mean, that's a tackle that a lot of corners just, they don't make it. It's a touchdown. It's a 7-7 game.
Right.
This guy plays, he forces runs, he tackles, he's got ball skills.
Right.
I think there's some completeness to his game.
Yeah, and he's really just getting started.
Yep.
Brad, thank you so much.
You bet,
Enjoy
boys.
the rest of the afternoon.
Have a good week. Happy Halloween. What are we going as for Halloween?
Handing out candy guy. I'm going as that guy.
We're going king
hope
size
that
bars?
nobody. King size bars? You handing out the king size candy?
Well, I'm going to my son's house, so he's in charge.
Okay.
But I would say that there was a time when he was little that we prided ourselves in being known as the house that gave out the big bars.
There we
There you
go.
go.
That is the house you want to go to. The voice of your Cowboys, Brad Sham, with us here post-game after a 43-20 Cowboys win over the Rams. We'll hear from Coach McCarthy, plus your calls and texts, 877-881-1053. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
Is your workplace on top of its game? For over 100 years, Pollock Aurora has been taking care of business, improving their bottom line.
Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
This is 3rd and 8 at the Rams' 37-yard line. Prescott's in the gun. It's a 4-man rush. They block it up. He throws it out, and wide open is Brandon Cooks at the 20.
Brandon Cooks finally with the deep touchdown strike that we've been waiting for. He was big today, converted a couple of 3rd downs, and then, of course, that touchdown, 1 of 4.
Yeah, the 4th down as well, too.
Yep, he did. That 4th on the drag.
Yeah, the drag.
He absolutely did.
Yeah.
So Brandon Cooks, very effective today, as well as everybody was eating for your Dallas Cowboys, as that was the 4th of Dak's 4 touchdown strikes. He's talking to the media right now. We will get to him in just a moment. But Brandon Cooks finishing with 3 catches, 49 yards, and then that touchdown. So a 4th down conversion, a 3rd down conversion, and then the long 25-yard touchdown strike from Dak to Cooks. It seems like anytime he's getting involved, it is a big-time, important play in the game. Probably could get him involved more, but the problem is CeeDee Lamb's just been so darn good. Ferguson also with 4 catches, 47 yards in the touchdown, and then some people texted in, hey, did Michael Gallup have a catch? He did. 2 catches, 20 yards, one of which on the sideline was a vintage Michael Gallup trying to contort along the sideline, get your toes down. It's beautiful.
Yeah, Michael, it's nice to see him involved. It's nice to really see Cooks get involved. I love what Brad and I, we were all talking about the pass protection from the backs, their ability. I guarantee you when we all sit down and watch the All-22 as a group or however you want to do it, you're going to see these backs step up and make plays, helping. And you've got to have that if you're going to throw the ball down the field. And especially with the way that the Rams pass rush was affecting the Cowboys front. They cleaned some things up. There were some adjustments that they were able to make a little bit cleaner. We'll see how bad Adoga is right now, with that injury. Now it's kind of a thin position over there at the tackle spot. But we'll see how they hopefully Tyron Smith will be ready to go next week in Philadelphia.
Yeah, that'll certainly be an area to keep an eye on. Awesome Richards, who came in. That touchdown pass actually to Cooks looked like he held up just long enough to allow Dak time to get that one off. But the rookie Awesome Richards, maybe he ends up having to start next week in a first-place showdown in Philly against the Eagles. We'll have to monitor Tyron Smith's status. Tyron, before the game, I did see Jane Slater caught up with him. He said he actually felt good enough to go. Training staff just said, hey, we're going to hold you out of this one. And, look, they're the best in the business. Guys like Britt Brown.
Yep, Jim Maurer, all those guys. Yeah, Greg Gaither. They all do a great job over there. Dr. Cooper and those guys as well. So, they got out of this one. But, yeah, they lose Adoga. But we'll see. It didn't look very good of him needing help with Jim and Britt Brown, getting him off the field the way they did.
Right.
He's dealt with some injury this year as well. So, that's a little bit of a blow. He's shown that he could be a really a nice swing tackle for you. I'm interested to see if the first Dak sack, though, was something that happened, on that left side. It looked like that's what was going on. But that's a difficult group to block up front.
It is.
We talked about him all week long on all our shows and leading up to the game, and we talked about it in the pregame. It was not going to be an easy game for them to have to block this front.
Not at all. Zach Wolchuck alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Brian Broaddus here in the Miller Lite Club, celebrating a Cowboys 43-20 victory over the LA Rams. Coach Mike McCarthy catching up with the media to talk about the win as his team's now 5-2. What did Coach have to say?
You've spoken before about the importance of holding your home field and what that means to a team. And 11 straight now, which equals a franchise record. Just today's game and just in general what you've been able to do at home here?
Well, I mean, the whole thing. I mean, if you get here early, guys were here a little extra early today. Locker room was full, energy was great, and then, to be honest with you, national anthems played, and I thought our home crowd was unbelievable at the kickoff. I mean, there's not too many noon games where you see the crowd, the towels, the whole 10 yards. So, and I think really from that start into the performance of the team, the complimentary football in the first half was excellent. All three phases, contribute. Obviously with the turnovers, the pick six, the block punt, offense didn't punt. So, I mean, it's a great start. And, in versus a football team that we had a tremendous amount of respect for, for what they put on video. We felt they were playing very well coming in here. So, very good win for us. And just going back to some of the things we talked about during the course of the week, as a coach, you love these kind of weeks because, not only did you win a game, but you took a step, just because of the Monday extra work, and practice was really good. Our young guys are getting better, and it's just, it's all part of the growth you're looking for. But it does push us to 5-2, and winning at home is really one of the oldest formulas in pro football. If you take care of your home turf, you win your home games, you're going to probably be where you want to be at the end of the year.
Tim Kalishaw, Dallas Morning News. I know one of the plays didn't count because of a penalty, but you're watching the game start and Dak has sacked 3 of the first 4 plays. Yeah. What is going through your mind at that point?
Well, it's tested my game plan. So definitely, we wanted to come out and tilt more towards the passing game starting out, and then I definitely have the 2 sacks in the first 3 plays. But we stayed the course. Our guys stayed the course, and that's part of it. And that's the beauty of winning and still having plenty to correct. Just speaking with Dan briefly before I come in here, pretty much had the same conversation. We have a lot to work on, and that's a good place to be after a significant victory.
Edward or ESPN, CeeDee had a career high 12 catches today. He and Dak have been virtually unstoppable the last couple of weeks. What are you seeing evolve there between those two?
Well, I mean, you can clearly see the connection. Obviously, started last year, but just the off season, these guys have spent a tremendous amount of time together. The one touchdown throw was a new wrinkle. And just you don't have that kind of patience as a quarterback unless you truly trust the receiver at the top of the stem there, and it was a tight window throw too. So those goes, and hopefully it just keeps going too. But we obviously know that people are going to continue to try to double him and tilt towards him, and the importance of moving him around. But yes, Dak and CeeDee are definitely connected, and had a big day today.
Mike, you and the players always get questions from us about what is your team's identity. This is the 4th win of by 20 or more points in 7 games. Does this speak to the complementary football and getting out to early leads and just kind of building on what it is you do best over the course of it?
I mean, you look at just the way our team's laid out. I mean, there's big play potential. So you got to build that into the normal flow of how you want to attack games. But the identity is complementary football. You got to be able to run it when you have to run it, throw it when you have to throw it, and no different on defense. We know that people are going to attack us, through our run defense, and just because of our ability to take the football away and pass rush. And I just love what John Fossil's doing with the special teams also. This is as young as we've been on special teams since I've been here. So, they stepped up big today. Obviously Terp had another huge return. It was, an unnecessary penalty there. But we're improving. And when you improve and you have growth, most importantly when you win, that's what it's all about. Because you got to stack success and the ability to have those. And I've talked about this earlier in the week. To have 4 out of 6 at home, we got to make sure we take care of these home games. And I just love the way they came. I love the way they practiced. It was nice to have an excellent week of preparation and fulfill it and rewarded with an excellent victory today.
Mike, at the bye, what was your view of the offense through 6 games, and did you think it needed to step up to something like the level it got to today?
Well, I mean, when we looked at the offense during the bye, I think it's just like everything. You really chew down on it and take a lot of the situational football out of it because, obviously with these big victories, just we didn't punt until we got the 4-minute offense here at the end. So you have to look through that. So and just focus on the direction you want to go forward. So our statistics, and I thought the analytics department did a really nice job on their deep dive. And one of the things that come out of it was, we didn't start very fast last year. And we were actually, from a production standpoint, further ahead. So I think it's just like anything. Statistics are excellence, the analytics part's excellence, but just really stay true to the video and make sure we're giving these guys opportunities. We definitely came in here today and felt like we needed to tilt the game more to the passing game with, when we felt these guys were, excellent in the pass rush area. And as you asked earlier, the question on how it started. So I think it's just trying to grow the offense, grow the defense, all the way through. And like I said, this has been a great week because, just the amount of work that we got done with the players, the extra work, and then with the excellent reward today with the win.
Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy after a 43-20 Cowboys win over the Rams, brought to you by the National Medal of Honor Museum. Join the mission at mohmuseum.org and AT&T, the official 5G innovation partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Let's pause 10 seconds to allow stations to identify themselves across the Dallas Cowboys radio network.
Your turn it on, leave it on. Home of America's team is 105.3 The Fan.
Hello, baby.
KRLD FM and HD1, Dallas Fort Worth.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
We will react to Mike McCarthy. We'll hear from Jerry Jones, Dak Prescott, and you, 877-881-1053. 877-881-1053, the number to call. The number to text as the Cowboys get a big home victory over the L.A. Rams and get ready for a first-place showdown in Filthy next Sunday afternoon. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Go behind the scenes at the home of the Dallas Cowboys with AT&T Stadium Tours presented by SeatGeek.
show continues. Pepsi, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Brought to you by
Bell Nunnally, attorneys and counselors. Goody Goody, your store for discovering fine wine, craft beer, and premium spirits. Find a store at goodygoody.com. Pepsi Zero Sugar, made for Cowboys watching. Texaco, fill up on what fuels you. Texaco with Techron, driving performance. And by Ford, your Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas.
Here comes third down, crowd making noise. Stafford in the gun, snap is back, pressured by Parsons, throws it out to Kupp at the 15-yard line, and Bland is there to hold him to a 2-yard gain. And the Cowboys do their job that time.
Man, Donon Bland, what a day. And boy, does he love the home cooking, huh? He had a couple of pick sixes against the Patriots in the last home game. Come back after the bye week, return home. And yeah, thank you very much, Matthew Stafford. You and Cooper Kupp cannot be on the same page. I'll take this, and I'll run it back for my third pick six and fourth interception of the season as the Cowboys get a 43-20 win over the LA Rams to improve to 5-2. Zach Wolchuck alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Brian Broaddus from the Miller Lite Club here at AT&T Stadium, joined now by our Cowboys insider Bobby Belt. And Bobby, you had an outstanding tweet, or X, formerly known as Twitter, whatever people are calling it these days.
A Zeet.
Is that what it is? It's
yep.
a Zeet?
All
Okay.
Zeet.
I like that. It's a Zeet. About Donon Bland after that.
Why are we even doing this today?
What was that nugget you had on Bland?
That when he caught that touchdown, or when he had that pick six there, Donon Bland was your lone leader for touchdowns on this football team. He was ahead of Tony Pollard. He was ahead of CeeDee Lamb. He was all by himself. And even after CeeDee Lamb's 2 touchdown catches today, he is still tied for the team lead in touchdowns at 3. And I don't know that there's ever been an instance of 8 weeks through an NFL season where somebody's leading touchdown scorer is a cornerback.
I'll tell you what, he is Brad came on and we were talking about the Chargers kind of went after him a little bit, and Brad's right about that. I mean, they double moved him a little bit, but when you start to talk about complete guys, corners, when you watch him, man, he is – I just love watching him play. The highlight we brought back with the tackle and all that, that's just the kind of thing that he does. But I want to ask you something, Robert. I want to ask you something here. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to brag on your quarterback today.
Well, look, I mean, you can't have that red zone interception, Brian. You can't have the no. Look, I'll take my bragging on Dak Prescott and turn it around a little bit to the head coach. Is that I think they deserve credit for. We can sit here and pound the table. You and I have talked about this a lot on Love of the Star about
probably
the
going to do it tonight
level.
After this game.
The comfort level that Dak has in this offense, or lack thereof. It looked like he was not comfortable the first several weeks of the season. And you and I had both talked about the fact of hey, look, you got to figure out what you're committing to. Are you committing to this scheme, or are you committing to this quarterback? Because I don't know that the two are totally compatible. And so if somebody were to point to these last 2 weeks and go, see, it is compatible, I think I'd counter back and say, no, I think what you're seeing is Mike McCarthy and the coaching staff saying, you know what, we've got to make some tweaks. We've got to do some different things here. I don't think this has looked the same the last 2 weeks. And obviously we'll look at the film on this.
The quarterback moving looks a lot different.
Rollouts.
And maybe it's not designed quarterback movement, but the fact that it's just the ball going down the field a little bit.
Yeah, I think some of the route concepts have looked different. I think there hasn't been nearly a great example. I think it was the first incompletion to Gallup today, where it was 1, 2, 3, fit the ball in, DBs all over. That's the what we were seeing the first several weeks that was so frustrating, where it's you can be completely on time, but I mean, if these route concepts aren't generating any separation, it doesn't totally matter. And so I think it's felt to me like they've loosened the reins a little bit. And how do you, I know one of the questions people have asked is, well, how do you tap into the freelance ability of Dak? Or how do you tap into what you've talked about, the muddied and bloodied Dak?
I love the muddy, bloody Dak.
How do you get that? It's you know what? I think you've got to loosen some of your regimen where you say you have to, hit these steps, do this, do that. Because what that does is I think it naturally creates a player who becomes a little robotic and in his head and, all right, are we hitting all these steps? Or we're doing this? And I think what they've done is you naturally create those abilities or those plays where he can freelance a little bit just by not making it so tight and so regimented. And that's what it's looked like the last several weeks. Now, is that Dak doing some things on his own? maybe. But, I mean, I think that if he was just doing things on his own and the receivers were still running these concepts that had been in place, you'd see even bigger issues.
I'm seeing, like, far less slants and things like that. Remember, did it feel like that it was just, when they needed a play, it was it was a slant route. It was, it just if teams are going to continue to play zone defense and then occasionally blitz Dak, and they're able to pick all that up, he's going to continue to have days like this.
Yeah, and look, one of the other things that I love here, and that is something that I think has been on display the last 2 weeks, is you're listening to what CeeDee Lamb told you, which is, you give me the ball so I can make some plays for you. And I think there's a difference between being a malcontent and just being incredibly competitive and recognizing what you can do to help the end result, which is, get me the ball. Throw me those smoke routes. What, he had 3 of those today? It felt like just quick throws. I don't know that I've seen him throughout his career. I think he's broken more tackles in the last 2 weeks than he broke throughout his entire career. Like, that seems like somebody who's just like, you give me the ball, I'm going to show you why you shouldn't regret it.
I think he's physically a little bigger. He doesn't. He looks
running
like
violent.
He looks like he's got some slightness still to him, but he's a bigger guy.
Yeah, and I think that he's somebody who he strikes me as...
That didn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense what I said.
No, I get what you're saying.
Remember how slight and skinny he was when he first started, and
now he's trying to run people over.
He still looks a little more slight than maybe your average receiver, but he is bigger than he was. And so I think that he does that. And look, I think he's somebody who he's more punishing and physical than he would appear, like the way that he looks. And he's somebody who, like I said, I think that these last couple weeks, it strikes me that when he's getting the ball in his hands, he's like, you are going to have to do everything you can to bring me down, because I'm going to show this team why even a quick smoke route is worth it. Get me the ball because I'll make plays. And he's, to his credit, he's done a ton of that. I mean, what is he? He's 82% catch percentage on 56 targets this year.
Unbelievable. Today, 14, 12 catches, and they're giving him the ball on the reverses and just trying to get him incorporated. I know you'll do star up, star down tomorrow morning on the flagship with Sean and RJ, which you can catch from 5:30 to 10 on 105.3 The Fan. But star up, Jake Ferguson. I mean, I know a lot of people were complaining about the tight ends and some of the drops early on. Dak loves that seam. It's one of his best throws over the middle there, and he threw a beautiful ball earlier this season to Schoonmaker. Wasn't able to catch it. Did it today. Ferguson comes down with it. It seems like Fergie now is really circling and making himself the legit tight end one that we were hoping he could become.
Yeah, I think that he's somebody who has really started to grow into that role. And that's one of the other things that I know we've talked about recently is, like, you did miss Dalton Schultz, I think, in the red zone, a guy who's seen a lot of football and understands the route savvy when, like, things get tight down in the red zone. I think you're seeing that naturally Ferguson's going to continue to get better at that stuff the more that he plays, and you're starting to see that. And Dak talked post-game about just how much trust he has and how much he's starting to feel in sync with him. I go back to the story of during OTAs. We were sitting there at the Star, and Dak threw an interception. A ball got batted in the air, got picked off, or it may not even be that, but he immediately turned. As soon as he threw the ball in the rollout, he immediately turned over to Jake Ferguson, and he was being very demonstrative and showing him, like, you need to turn here.
Yeah, the ball
needs
to be outside. Yeah.
You've got, and it wasn't even throwing him. It was just like, you've got to be here.
Yeah.
And Jake Ferguson, we brought it up to him in camp, and he was like, I remember that practice like it was yesterday. I vividly remember that I had messed something up that I'd seen in the coverage, and I knew after that, after we had talked, I knew what it was. And he's like, Dak will get in your ear sometimes at practice. And he's like, but it's always with the goal of, like, we got to be on our game, and it's all out of, from a place of love, essentially. And I think you're seeing that those two have really started to build a strong connection.
Were you concerned when you saw the first series of the game?
Yeah, because I don't and we'll go back and watch the tape, Brian.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. Chuma Edoga deserves a ton of credit for the first 10 pass reps of the game. I don't think he was able to counter a single cross chop. They looked like they were going to go cross chop all game and get by. And to his credit, he adjusted and he got better with his hands and he anticipated it and he countered it. And he, before he, had gone out of the game, he had started to play better. But yeah, when I first saw that, what was it? It was the first 3 dropbacks. One didn't count, but the first 3 dropbacks, he got sacked. And it was like, okay, this is.
I had visions of that Atlanta game with
Chaz Green.
Chaz Green, like, are they going to block?
Chaz
Are they going to block anybody up front?
Yeah, no, he responded.
He did.
He
sure
responded,
did.
And he was really, really good. I think, obviously, like, it's a at first glance, but it looked like I think he deserves a ton of credit for, like I said, they were trying to – Hoyt was trying to just hit that cross chop every single rep, and he had a lot of success early, and Edoga adjusted to that, and he deserves a ton of credit for being able to make the in-game adjustment and make that technical tweak.
Yeah, I mean, credit the entire offensive line, really. Even Broaddus, she was struggling early with Aaron Donald. Seemed like he settled in.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody settled in, and ultimately the offensive line comes out of this one, I think, playing a solid game, which, by the way, it's dawned on me. I found a great analogy, Brian. It's perfect. Okay, you got two guys who have played 2 years here now. Tyler Smith and Donon Bland are the same player, because you got a guy who played tackle, had to come in, play guard his first year, and then he bounced back outside tackle. And people are like, can he do it? And it's like, well, it's what he did in college. Same thing with Donon Bland. Donon Bland played outside in college, had to kick inside last year, and everyone became so familiar with it where it's like, can he even play outside? And it's like, well, this is actually what I did, and this is what I came to the NFL to do, and you guys moved me inside last year.
Is it too early in Week 8 to put Aubrey in the Pro Bowl?
No, that's Butter Aubrey's a Pro Bowler. Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for it. I got to come up with a better nickname than Butter.
Dak coined it, though. We got to rock with it.
I know, but I just feel like there's some potential there.
I hope we're not jinxing the young man.
Butter Aubrey.
I tried to shoehorn in Godbury, but like I think it's just it feels
Shout
too
out to Randall
awkward.
Godfrey.
Yeah, but no, I think that when he's been
surprised.
fantastic.
I'm surprised with when he tried the 58-yard field goal. I think McCarthy, I'm thinking, man, don't give him the ball right there. Don't,
that makes one of us.
Remember, I leaned over to you, and I'm like, I think I'd punt
I want to
this.
give the Rams the ball at midfield.
That's the Donon Bland difference. Even if you give him the ball there, he's going to get you the ball right back.
That's right. Ball finds that guy.
All
right, Bob, last one for you. I know Jerry will play his audio. We gave the quote. He said he doesn't think that they'll do anything at the deadline, but what are you thinking here? Do the Cowboys make a move between now and the deadline?
Maybe, I don't know. I honestly think games like this probably make them feel even more comfortable. It's a little bit of a reactionary business. But I will say, if it was up to me, the deal I would like to see them make is I'd like to see them take some of this excess depth they may feel they have in certain positions and get some of their day 3 draft pick depth back, because they've given up a lot of that for Cooks, Gilmore, Lance. I want to see. I don't want to miss out on another Donon Bland or Tony Pollard or whatever else because you've traded away that depth.
Yeah, and final question here, Bobby. I know you're an insider for this stuff, and you talk to a lot of the same people or other people like I do. Are you getting mixed signals on, yes, they're interested in this guy, no, they're not interested in this guy? Like you could say, yes, you're hearing something positive, but then you ask somebody on the other side, and they're like, we haven't talked to him, or we haven't heard anything.
Yeah, and
I feel bad. I feel irresponsible putting names out there. Because
we know you're responsible.
I get it, like, okay, that's a great source for me, but then I got a great source like canceling out another great source.
Yeah, and
does that make sense?
You know what I think that may just represent is it may represent the conflict of just feelings in the bill. Like for instance, can you remember we got to the point with Odell Beckham Jr. Where it was like, I can't trust whichever way anybody has a gut feeling, because I think everybody has a different opinion and we just don't know who's going to win out at this point. And similarly, I think maybe there's some names out there, or maybe there's one specific name out there where it's like, do some people maybe inside the building, would they have interest, and other people don't? You just got to find out who in the end is king.
We will find out. I
You're
guess
the
who that
king.
is, even though that team might have said we're not trading King. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. There's a lot of misinformation out there.
Wow.
A lot of misinformation.
Love the star tonight.
And I did like Desmond King coming out of Iowa.
I'm ready.
Too,
All right.
I was ready an hour ago.
So we will have a new Love of the Star up tomorrow for you guys?
Yeah, as long as Peyton didn't take off tomorrow like he did today. So.
Well, he deserves to get a day off every now and then. Dude
it's
works
football
his tush
season,
off.
bro. What are we doing over here?
Yeah, I mean, we no days off over here. That's for sure. Bobby, thank you so
Day
much.
by day.
Bobby, Dave.
Love you all.
Bobby Belt brought to you by AT&T, the official 5G innovation partner of the Dallas Cowboys and blockchain. Trust the team at blockchain.com to make buying, selling, and trading crypto easy. Play smarter, not harder with blockchain.com. We did have a quarterback injury. It will lead us to this question. Would this team call the Dallas Cowboys about a backup quarterback? Plus, we want to hear more from you. 877-881-1053. Plus, we'll hear from Dak Prescott. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
The Whataburger Sweet and Spicy Bacon Burger is an all-time favorite. It brings so many flavors together in harmony, you might wonder if it's greater than the sum of its parts. It's got 2 all-beef patties, both of which fantastic. Crispy bacon, love that. Grilled onions, melty cheese. I mean, who would say no? And sweet and spicy pepper sauce. Yes, please. I guess we're kind of partial to every part. The sweet and spicy bacon burger from Whataburger, just like you like it.
Hey Cowboys fans, it's time to get ready for tailgate season with an official Dallas Cowboys license plate from myplates.com. Join the many thousands of fans already driving around with Cowboys pride on their ride. It's a must-have for any die-hard Cowboys fan. My Plates is also the one-stop shop for all specialty plates in Texas, with over 500 designs to choose from. With Cowboys plates starting from only $50, what are you waiting for? Visit myplates.com today. That's myplates.com.
Tom Thumb's new Drive Up and Go service makes grocery shopping easy and convenient for anyone.
25 pounds of ground chuck, 15 bags of hamburger buns, 28 bags of Tostitos, 10 packs of Pepsi, and some barbecue tongs.
You pick the time, you drive up, and go.
With Tom Thumb's Drive Up and Go, anyone has time in their schedule to go grocery shopping. Just a few clicks away, and you can feed your team.
Everyone can be a grocery pro bowler with Tom Thumb's Drive Up and Go. Download the app or try an online order to get started today.
Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Texas, right here at home, driving access toward healthier communities. Through it all.
You can trust your car to the place with the star to get you to the things you love or travel near and far. With Texaco at your side, life can be a lovely ride. So trust your car to the Texaco star.
When you fill up with Texaco with Techron, you get unbeatable mileage to help make your adventures bigger than ever. Download the Texaco app to find a station near you.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag & Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag & Turf, the official Ag & Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
I'm Darren Woodson, former Dallas Cowboy player and Super Bowl champion. When I played in the NFL at a high level, I relied on my vision to see the field. As I started getting older, I noticed my vision wasn't as good, and I was getting frustrated from wearing my glasses all day. I went to Laser Care Eye Center, and Dr. G talked about all the options. Thanks to technology and Laser Care Eye Center, I can see near, far, and between. Don't fumble your vision any longer. Visit them at dfweyes.com and tell them Darren sent you. They got me back on my game.
It's big, it's good, and it's only for Cowboys fans. It's the Cowboys Special from the Cowboys and Papa John's. Get a large one-topping pizza for only $9.99. That's right, Cowboys fans. Get a large one-topping pizza for only $9.99 every day of the week. It's America's team. It's America's pizza. It's the Cowboys Special. Order today, in person, on the phone, or online. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's, the official pizza of the Dallas Cowboys.
Becky Hammond on being the first woman to coach in the NBA.
What if it's no big deal that I'm a woman? What if it's about striving for excellence and being the best me without the label?
It's not about where others say you should be. It's about where you want to go. It's about a financial services company that focuses on your measures of success. Whether it's for your home or business, we offer personalized service and expert advice to help you achieve your unique goals.
Visit swbc.com for financial services without the labels.
Is your workplace on top of its game? For over 100 years, Pollock Aurora has been taking care of business, improving their bottom lines, and helping them grow with proven results that work. And this year is no exception. From keeping the workplace clean to custom packaging to shipping products and office essentials, Pollock leads the way in supplying everything Dallas workplaces need to do what they do. Backed by more than 10 decades of doing things right and moving companies forward, Pollock Aurora is where solved happens. Call 855-239-5153 or visit Visit Pollock.com today.
58, operations clean. Kick by Aubrey's away. Plenty of leg. How about Brandon Aubrey? Wow. 11 field goals in a row to start a career.
17.
Sorry, 17.
Yeah.
And the Cowboys have a 58-yarder, and they lead the Rams by a score of 10-3.
There he is, Brandon Butter Aubrey. And look, we can workshop this if you guys want to go ahead and let us know. Do you like the Butter nickname? Or do you want to try and find something else? Like Bobby Belt is thinking, maybe we can do better. Look, if Dak Prescott coins a nickname for the kicker, I think you got to rock with it. I think Brandon Butter Aubrey works quite nicely. But 877-881-1053. If you want to workshop that, we can do that on the official postgame show of your Dallas Cowboys. Zach Wolchuck and the Super Bowl winning scout Brian Broaddus here in the Miller Lite Club as the Cowboys improved to 3-0 at home, 11 straight home victories here at AT&T Stadium, and are now 5-2 on the season after a 43-20 victory over the Rams.
Man, it's been impressive. Nice run. Last loss was against Tampa, opening day.
Opening day.
How about that?
That's crazy.
That is
Man,
crazy.
that seems like so long ago.
Played really well today. And there were, I think, a lot of us going into the game when we started talking about predictions or how we thought it would play out. We thought that the games were a little bit this one was going to be a little bit closer. I know myself, I had a 28-20. I was really worried. I was really, really worried about the Rams' ability to throw the football.
They got a lot of weapons.
And they did. The Cowboys did a tremendous job with the pressure, and that's something that when you look at Matthew Stafford, he had handled the pressure pretty well, and he was able to get the completions and stuff and score points, keep driving. I just really I was very concerned by that, but man, there was some times where those routes that I was worried about were well covered. The pressure was there. Ball was wide. I was worried that Puka Nacua was going to just kill you. I mean, he made the one crossing route on was that a fourth down throw that he had, or a long third down one where he made a play going away, carrying a guy.
I think it might have been a fourth down
conversion,
play, and they ended up stopping him on fourth down later in the drive.
Exactly, later in the drive. But Nacua, he just, he wasn't a factor, and neither
Cooper Kupp was eliminated.
Cooper Kupp wasn't a factor at all. Aaron Donald, I know initially there was some problems there, but they kind of dealt with that as the game wore on. And that drive they had, that 17-play drive that they had.
Take 10 minutes off the clock.
Took 10 minutes off the clock. Dallas needed that one.
They did.
Badly in that game because you're like thinking, man, the momentum's not going to flip here after half, is it? But Dallas did a great job of answering what the Rams did on their first drive.
They sure did. 877-881-1053, the number to call, the number to text. Let's hear from Dak Prescott, your winning quarterback, after a 43-20 Cowboys victory.
You talked before about building a home field advantage. This is 11 straight, equals a franchise record. Just what you did today and what this says about this team, kind of where you are right now.
Which part? I mean, obviously playing here, great environment, the fans, the atmosphere, place you're used to playing at, indoors. A lot of that plays a big part in it. Getting off to an early start, especially noon game, that was huge for us. And just on that streak, that's something that the mentality of these guys. We've set our mind to we're trying to work for something. Last thing we're going to do is let somebody come in our house and take that from us. So credit to those guys, all those men, just coming in focused. Honestly, credit to Mike and the schedule that we're on that allows us to feel good in these home games. I think that's a huge part of it. And then, just momentum coming off of the bye week. Obviously, we did well out there out west 2 weeks ago, but we wanted to make sure that we continued to build, and I think we did that today. We wanted to take a step in the pass game. I know that was a point for Mike. Get some more attempts out there, and the guys did a great job protecting, getting open. Just a successful win, but as I said, started off just on all three phases with the start, and that's the credit to it is the defense with the big plays, then with the touchdown, punt blocked. Guys are ready to go.
Clarence Hill, Four-Star Telegram. Speaking of the start, it didn't start so well. I think you had 2 sacks, maybe 3 sacks, and they got turned away because of the illegal contact.
Thank God for that.
Yes. How did this flip? I mean, from that start with the sacks and then for you guys to have, do so well in the passing game?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an example of just like playing one play at a time. Obviously, it wasn't pretty from the first play to the third or fourth play, and then able to get that, as you said, that DPI, and then just get rolling or what illegal contact is. Each play, man, each play, you've got to be locked in. You've got to be ready to go. Just take it one play at a time, and then getting the momentum, and don't think about the last. As shitty as it was or it could have been. Just move forward, stay in the present. I think the guys did that. I mean, we could have easily put our heads down and started, pouting or griping or got down on ourselves after the first couple of plays. But first one, all on me. Second, whenever the next one was, just a schemer. They kind of got us. And then after that, and I think guys do a good job of talking to each other in those situations. I know the offensive line's talking. I'm telling them, hey, that's on me. Don't think that you missed a block or you did something. Like, move on. And guys did that. We respond to each other. We communicate, and I think that's a huge part in it. And then when you're getting rolling, as I said, that's just the same thing as, hey, one play at a time. Like, just because it was good, doesn't think that, you know what I mean? Just stay locked in and focused, and we're able to do that all night.
Second straight week, Jerry said this was your best game. What kind of rhythm are you in with this offense?
Let's make it 3 next week. Yeah, I'm in a rhythm. It feels good. It goes into, talked about the system. We've talked about it at nauseum, I guess, going back to the spring, and things just really coming into play. A lot of preparation, being prepared for these games, for these opponents. A lot goes into it. And a lot of it's the other guys, so it's not just me. Part of playing this position, when other guys are playing their best, it makes you look good, and then you get, you're being told about you're playing your best. So we'll take it, but it's early in the year. We've got to keep rolling. As I said, we want to just keep taking this momentum, keep getting better and better, make sure that we're putting our best version of ourselves out there every week that we can, and that means taking a step. So, 5-2, and looking forward to taking a step next week on the road.
Dak, Todd Arks with ESPN. You're over 80% completion rate to CD. Where does that come from?
Work. A lot of work. A lot of time put into it. Talk about depositing the work and being able to withdraw it when you need to, and you can go back into the off season. From the time we started way back in, I guess, April, maybe even before then, in my backyard, to the time that we spent in mini camp OTAs, to trips out to Atlanta. A lot of time invested. A lot of trust in that guy. He runs. He knows what I'm thinking. We're always communicating, and I think that's why. When it's not going our way, it's frustrating, you know what I mean? Because we put so much into it. But he's right now, we're reaping the rewards of everything that we've put into this, and it's only going to continue to grow, because all that does is give everybody, himself, the whole team, play caller, everybody more confidence, and getting him in positions and allowing us to go to work.
Dak Prescott, after a Cowboys 43-20 win over the L.A. Rams. Dak with 4 touchdowns today. Really a brilliant performance from him and the entire offense. Of course, CeeDee Lamb as well was exceptional. And Dak, this is, again, another 3-touchdown-plus game. He's got 31 career games with 3 scores through the air, the second most in team history. And his 31 3-touchdown games since 2016 are the 6th most by any quarterback during that span. Rams defense had allowed 4 passing touchdowns all year.
That's it.
Dak Prescott equaled that in 1 single start. Great job overall by the offense, and Dak Prescott especially. And, really, this is back-to-back games. You don't win that Chargers game without Dak. And today, you could say, probably played his best game of the season.
Yeah, it just mentioned that when the quarterback has the ability to keep his eyes down the field and see things and it was a muddy pocket for him. The pressure that he was facing very early in this game, but his ability to, when he had to buy a second chance, his ability to move, keeping his eyes down the field, receivers continually able to run routes, get open, and then Dak having the ability to get them the football. That's the quarterback right there. They've got to figure out a little bit better. And I thought in the second half, one of the things you and I talked about at half was in the second half, how well were they going to be able to run the football?
Yes.
There were some plays where Pollard was able to get it going. There were a play or two where Dowdle was able to get it going. but there needs to be more consistency in that. And anything like that, any extra running that they can get, or those yards, those plays, those 5, 6, 7 yard plays, running the football, those plays help Dak so much.
No doubt.
And take that pressure. Even though Dak today, the last couple of weeks, has been the reason why you found ways to have some offensive success.
Well, you bring that up, and we got a question. Like, is the running game right now good enough to be able to win in the postseason?
I don't think so. I just don't think so. It's not as consistent. It's not as when they really, really have. And that's why in the second half I was hopeful that they were going to just take the ball and then all of a sudden demoralize the Rams. They had some good runs, but the thing that demoralized the Rams today were Cowboys special teams, Cowboys pass rush, and Dak Prescott throwing the ball.
Yeah.
That's what demoralized the Rams today. The running game with Pollard at times showed some promise, but I think just overall it's got to be something that when Mike McCarthy talks about it, it's that balance that he would absolutely love, where if he dials up a running play, it's going to be a 4, 5, 6 yard shot and not a play that gains 2 or 3. A couple of them only got to the outside though, and were able to get the 10 yards and a little bit longer runs. But man, you would love to be, when you're up that big, you would love to be able just to wear somebody out running the football.
Tape from the Locker Room brought to you by Blockchain. You don't need a complicated play to bring it into the end zone. That's why you should trust the team at Blockchain.com to make buying, selling, and trading crypto easy. Play smarter, not harder, with Blockchain.com. We'll, of course, hear from CeeDee Lamb. We've got Jerry Jones for you, more player audio, plus your calls and texts, 877-881-1053. After a 43-20 Cowboys win over the LA Rams here at AT&T Stadium, you're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Cowboys football and Miller Lite. What a pairing. Can cracks at kickoff. Tailgate's going.
Powerball.com. The Powerball jackpot continues to grow. Buy your Powerball tickets now on Jackpot.com. And by Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. It's Miller time.
Now here is Aubrey.
Record tying, right? This is
right.
Number 18 in a row.
This ball spotted on the left hash by Anger at the 17-yard line, so it'll be 27 yards. And the kick by Aubrey is perfect from 27. And with a minute 32 left in the third quarter, the Cowboys now lead the Rams 36-17.
That 27-yard field goal by Brandon Aubrey capped our drive of the game, brought to you by Ford, Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. It was a 17-play, 75-yard drive that took 9:57 off the clock there in the third quarter. That was after the Rams had hit a touchdown from Stafford to Skoranek for 20 yards. It was 33-15. You're thinking, oh no, has the momentum shifted a little bit here, and all of a sudden we got a ball game? Well, the Cowboys just took 10 minutes off the clock, and then Brandon Aubrey comes away with 3 points to make it 36-17. And of course, the Cowboys would go on to win this one 43-20. But a pivotal drive, and it was everything they needed. Sure, you'd love to come away with a touchdown, but you came away with points. But the main thing was you took off nearly a quarter of football off the clock.
It was outstanding. I think that, the way that Mike was able to navigate that, Dak, the offensive line, the mix of the run, the pass, the Rams really didn't have much of an answer. They were able to convert some key third downs along the way. Even the fourth down that they were able to convert. Man, I hate that when teams, when it's 4th and 1 and they get in shotgun and they throw the ball. Like that was the one to Cooks that was the cross. But, man, that is so just nerve-wracking when you see it's 4th and 1 and your quarterback's standing there in the shotgun and there's really no intention of handing the ball off inside. But, great drive. They needed that. The most important thing about that drive was the time that they took off the clock.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
The drive ended in points, great, but those 9 minutes and 50-some-odd seconds were the most important thing that you could have done in that second half.
So it seems like with the nickname Brandon Aubrey, and of course Dak coining him Butter Aubrey, the Cowboys fans that are texting in 877-881-1053 and feel free to call as well. They like butter, but it's got to be Butta. Brandon Butta Aubrey.
Huh.
So that's what we're going to rock with until we find something better.
I think you're onto something. If the quarterback's going to give a guy a nickname, unless we come up with a better one,
fellow Plano kid,
somebody, we've got time to do this. I think
it's my guy. All right, let's hear from Jerry Jones, Cowboys owner and general manager. Of course, the trade deadline coming up on Tuesday. Jerry got the honor of inducting DeMarcus Ware into the Cowboys Ring of Honor as well at halftime, which we were able to bring you the conclusion of DeMarcus Ware's Ring of Honor speech. It is now up in the stadium forever, along with Emmitt Smith and Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin and the triplets on that side. Charles Haley and Larry Allen are over there as well. DeMarcus Ware, 94 from 2005 to 2013, now immortalized into Cowboys history. But here's Jerry post-game after the win.
We've had times when we would be critical of our play. To me, as you saw, it was every phase of it. Give our coaching staff, give them their due on that. And we have a lot of respect for that other club and also the coaching staff on it. So I can't say enough about how well we played today, and we did it today at Rams' expense. But I'll tell you what, when they were initially took that ball down like that and made the score, reminded me of our game earlier in the year, and then we came back and just really made the plays all over.
You mentioned all three phases. That 3-minute stretch where your team takes it from 10-3 to 26-3, what did that make you think about what your team's capable of?
Well, first of all, when you score in all three phases, and really almost scored in all three, but had the equivalent of what ultimately resulted in a score, then that's coordinating the phases, and that'll get you there almost every time.
Does that make you think ultimate goal, Super Bowl?
Well, no, I think we just need to call it for what it is. We played good again today. We got to do it again here next week. I've been watching on the side up there the Washington Philly game, and Washington 2 times, Philadelphia 2 times. Got our work cut out for us.
CeeDee Lamb asked for the football and then came out and performed today. What do you think of what he did?
Well, I don't know when that we've had a dominant role played by a receiver. I can't remember when because he just was in on everything we were trying to do on every series. So obviously, you've seen him play at that level. We've all seen him play at that level. But I don't think so many opportunities as he had out there today. And it was a phenomenal game for him, career game for him. But good news is he can do some more of that.
Jerry went on to say regarding the trade deadline, that he thinks that the Cowboys have some good offensive line depth, and this is courtesy of John Machota of The Athletic, one of our good buddies who does a great job covering the team. But he later added, if you really looked at our team right now, the biggest need is depth in the offensive line. Now, he did point out that everybody in the league is looking for starting offensive linemen, everybody, and that's probably been the number one area of concern from the text to your postgame. And, Brian, I mean, you know this, you're a Super Bowl winning scout. You've worked in the pro scouting departments. Teams just aren't going to part with starting caliber offensive linemen at the deadline.
Nope, not at all. And that's why when we always talk about when we get to the 53 after Oxnard, it's one of those deals where you're always thinking about we're going to go long at offensive line and defensive line. You can't find these guys. You can't find them out on the street. It's impossible. And then you try and load your practice squad up with those guys, and it'll test you. The NFL season will test you with your depth. And it's, I grew up in an era, Zach, where like the same 5 guys felt like played for 12 years.
Yeah.
I could talk about Rayfield Wright and Ralph Neely and John Fitzgerald, and, I could talk about those guys. They never, ever, ever got hurt. Never got hurt. I'm sure somebody will text in and say, well, I'm going back in Pro Football Reference.
You don't remember Rayfield missed 4 games with an ankle?
Exactly, yeah. It just didn't appear that way growing up as a kid. And nowadays, though, it really – they get to Thursday. They get to a Thursday practice. And, Tyron Smith can't go. So now all of a sudden, and luckily for you, you've kind of figured out that you weren't listening to me during the year talk about Adoga. I was super, super concerned. There was nothing I'm watching him in training camp play tackle. I'm like going, really want to do this?
We were concerned.
Yeah.
We were.
Really concerned with that. But, the depth that they had, they've tried to do things with some draft. The young guys just haven't, the young, guys that were drafted. We'll see what Awesome Richards. I think Awesome Richards is probably a couple years away.
Probably.
But he just needs to get stronger. But, he's a guy that played big-time football at North Carolina.
And the tape was good at North Carolina.
Tape was good. But they just right now, if they, it's unfortunate. You could hide one guy, but can you hide 3 guys? And that's hard to do with the offensive line.
The other question would be running back. So the Cowboys, and this is per Machota again, averaged 3.9 yards per rush attempt today. Same as their average coming into today's game. Goal for the Cowboys is about 4.5 yards per game. Do they need running back help? Jerry, quote, no, I like our running backs. I don't want to dismiss anything, but that is not a pointed position of need at all. Not on the radar.
Man, he's got a lot of money tied up in running backs, right? He's got
paying Zeke some.
He's still paying Zeke.
And then you franchise tag Tony Pollard $10 million.
That's why I think that he, he's got Deuce Vaughn, but now Deuce Vaughn, and I feared this was going to happen to Deuce Vaughn. I feared this was going to be where every week he is going to be the inactive guy because he unfortunately doesn't help you on special teams. Deuce Vaughn at Kansas State was an All-American type running back. When you handed him the ball, and they've got guys now that they want to play, whether it's Dowdle or, they got Malik Davis. They've got guys on this, roster. I do believe that if there were some things that they did better blocking wise, and there was some productive plays running the ball, but I don't know when we watch the All-22, is it going to be, there you go. They tried against the Chargers some schemes where pulling guys, pulling tight ends, pulling tackles, pulling guards. They tried a lot of things and couldn't win at the point of attack. And if you can't win at the point of attack, I don't care if you have Barry Sanders running the ball or Emmitt Smith running the ball or anybody running the ball. You're not going to have success doing it. And that blocking needs to be cleaned up to give them a chance to be consistent at this.
All right, final topic, at least for this segment, on the trade deadline tree. So really bad news for the Minnesota Vikings today. And certainly, our thoughts go out to Kirk Cousins. Kirk suffered an Achilles injury based on the initial examination, according to Kevin O'Connell today. And he's going to undergo an MRI. Diagnosis on the Achilles, though, rarely wrong, according to Tom Pelissero of NFL Network. So Trey Lance is a Minnesota guy, was born there, raised there, and they seem to have interest in him leading into the draft. Daniel Jeremiah, who does an excellent job covering the draft for NFL Network, said, I wonder if they will end up calling the Cowboys about Trey Lance. Cowboys could possibly upgrade their pick they gave up to San Francisco to get him. What are your thoughts on maybe the Cowboys, if a team calls like Minnesota, being open to moving Trey or even Cooper Rush as their backup quarterback?
Well, if it's Cooper Kupp, you got a story there.
Yeah, we do.
You got a story.
Think we can make that happen? I know Will Chambers would love that.
Me personally, I'm keeping my quarterbacks. I'm keeping. I think that Trey Lance, there is a reason. There's a reason why they went and got Trey Lance. I think and as well as Dak Prescott, has played the last couple of weeks, we'll see. We'll see. They've got a decision they have to make about Dak. But I feel like that they made the Trey Lance deal with something in mind. I always say this about Will McClay. He likes to protect himself if he can. He has a quality quarterback. We saw what Cooper Rush can do, 4-1. If he doesn't turn the ball over in Philadelphia, that might be a 5-0 quarterback.
Sure.
Might be a 6-0 quarterback, with the starts that he's made and stuff like that. And but there's your quality backup guy. But Trey Lance is here for a reason, and I'm willing to keep riding that. Let him develop, let him learn, let him have the extra practice after everybody's off the practice field. Get the practice squad receivers out there. Let him call plays. Let him move up and down the field. Let him get a feel for how the cadence with the offense. He's a super smart guy. Everybody I've talked to that's ever worked with him has nothing but glowing things to say about him. And the Cowboys had a second-round grade, a top of the second-round grade. I'm keeping Trey Lance because I'm thinking if I bring back Dak Prescott, well, I think he's going to probably be my second quarterback next year. But right now, I got to have him to learn, and I'm not interested in helping the Minnesota Vikings or helping anybody else because that's the one position I need to I've already invested the pick, the time, at least, the 8 to 10 weeks so far that he's been here. That's what I've invested in him, and I'm going to keep it that way.
Fun conversation, 877-881-1053, the number to call, the number to text here on your official post-game show of America's team after a 43-20 win. Cowboys over the Rams. Zach Wolchuck alongside the Super Bowl winning scout.
Did that make
Brian
sense?
Broaddus. No, it did, absolutely. And I'm with you. I think I'd rather keep Trey Lance and see what you can get out of him because it allows you just to have options and flexibility. Now, unless a team calls you and wows you with an offer and you're getting a day 2 pick, for instance, but anything 4th round or later, I think I'd rather just take my chances on a flyer on a young quarterback and see what can happen there.
Yeah, let's see what the development factor is there. That's what I would do.
Absolutely. All right. Coming up on the other side, more of your thoughts. We'll also hear from CeeDee Lamb. We've got Micah Parsons, of course, one of the players of today's game. Donon Bland. So much more to get into in the final hour here of the post-game show. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat.
United Ag and Turf, the official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
9-yard loss, and the rookie punter Ethan Evans, they drafted him from Wingate in the 7th round. Oh, they blocked the punt, and it's going to go through the back of the end zone. Sam Williams blocked the punt.
This thing's about to get ugly. Or very pretty if you're a Cowboy fan.
It sure did start to get very pretty for Cowboy fans. It is our What a Play of the Game, brought to you by WinStar. As the casino of the Dallas Cowboys, WinStar knows what it means to be a star with over 10,000 of your favorite electronic games. The all-new 2-story WinStar Spa and Cascades, their luxury pool complex. WinStar really is the place to feel like a star. Please game responsibly. And when you talk about that Sam Williams block, he blocked a punt out of the end zone for the safety there. First Cowboys blocked punt since Dorrance Armstrong blocked a punt at the LA Rams last year. So how amazing is that? Both years back-to-back against the Rams. And look, Sam Williams was free up the middle. Dorrance Armstrong was right next to him. They both got free.
It was a great stunt. They obviously felt like that the Rams center can't block. So you run a twist game inside where you make the personal protector, and then also, though, those two up-backs have to deal with the twist. There probably was a manned scheme, and then they got everybody kind of off their game and got that block.
It was amazing. Amazing play, and it's rare. I mean, it happens maybe once a year that you get a blocked punt. That is our What a Play of the Game. Let's pause now 10 seconds to allow stations to identify themselves across the Dallas Cowboys radio network.
Your turn it on, leave it on. Home of America's team is 105.3 The Fan.
Hello, baby.
KRLD FM and HD1, Dallas Fort Worth.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Zach Wolchuck alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Brian Broaddus. The official post-game show your Dallas Cowboys rolls on from the Miller Lite Club after a 43-20 Cowboys win.
We got CA and my man KG afterwards doing some,
And KG actually, CA got to catch up some with CeeDee Lamb along with the rest of the media. So if you do want more from 6 to 9 on the flagship locally, 105.3 The Fan, also you can listen via the Odyssey app. You will get the 3-time Hall of Famer Chris Arnold along with Kevin Gray. CA catching up with CD along with the rest of Cowboys media after his monster game here this afternoon.
CeeDee, can you talk about this game? I guess everybody's legs were fresh, including yours.
Absolutely. Coming off the bye, we knew we had an advantage, and we came out striking. That was the goal.
Could you talk about your second touchdown catch? Because you were wide open, and that play seemed to come just for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, it wasn't a bit scheduled. Dak did a great job of, scrambling in the pocket, playing above the 2.3. And then I did my best of being open and staying open. So.
Were you surprised that the Rams you guys were so explosive against the Rams?
Not necessarily surprised, because that's what we're looking for, week in and week out. That's how we should play, and that's just more of a stepping stone to what's to come.
Very good. Thanks, CeeDee.
CeeDee, we talk about times when things click like you want them to. In that first half, feel like this Texas Coast offense finally really clicked like you wanted to?
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, I got started early, and it kind of opened up the offense for us and giving us, everything open, and just giving us the ability to call any play with no restrictions. I feel like that's when we at our best, playing fast, making plays.
The success you've been able to have with Dak, the completion percentage between the two of you, with everyone targeting, stopping you, how have you been able to do it so far?
Staying open, man. That's all I can do. And at my position, he's relying on me and I'm relying on him. So the best, we built the trust, coming in, it was year 3 together, or 4, dang, I'm getting old.
2020 was a blur.
But it's year 4 together, a lot of banked reps.
How big is it that they're getting you involved earlier in the game so you can get a rhythm?
It's huge, honestly. Just getting the game early, you want to get the defense on their heels. Obviously, they're going to be focusing on me, so give them a reason to focus on me, and then I want all my guys to explode.
After the San Francisco game, we had asked you about what's the identity of the offense, and you said you wasn't sure. So over the last 2 weeks, do you know what the identity of the offense is now?
We're explosive and physical. And I say that with full ability and capability. I know what we can do, week in and week out. And we can definitely take the top off of the defense.
CeeDee, how important is complementary football where, Duron's pick six, then the block kick, and then your touchdown, just all three phases working together in that moment?
That's ideal football. When all three phases of the ball score, I feel like that's a great day for the team. You know what I'm saying? And in this case, it's for us. So, once again, complementary football is priority number one, and always stand on each other, playing for each other.
What can you say about Dak's resilience? Again, I mean, the start, he gets taken down 3 times in the first 4 plays, and then leads a touchdown drive, and the rest.
Absolutely. Speaks a lot of him. Very resilient group. I know we say it a lot, but that's definitely one of another of our identities. Just being able to, bounce back from hardships and staying focused. Everybody got a reason, but we need a why, and Dak is our why.
Guys,
career high receptions and receiving.
Not necessarily great football. Shout out to Dak. Shout out to the OC.
You guys were riding high after the Patriots win heading into the Niners week. That didn't work out. How can you make this different going into Philly week?
Playing our football, playing our game. Forgetting about what happened 3 weeks ago and staying the course.
CeeDee, you obviously have that chemistry with Dak, but for him to trust Jake Ferguson the way that he has as Jake kind of learns his new role and then has the game that he does, how important is that from a quarterback and a tight end?
Amazing. Tight end's always the quarterback's best friend, whether you like it or not. And Ferg is definitely stepping in that role, and I love that for him because he's becoming himself. He's making his own identity and his ability to make plays, break tackles, and get extra yards. Love it.
You're putting you all over the field, but it seems as if when you're in the slot, you're really doing some damage. What is it about being in the slot that helps you?
I did more damage outside this week and last week.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not a slot receiver. I'm a receiver.
Right, but they're putting you all over the field. But there are times when you are in the slot, it seems as if there's even a bigger disadvantage.
Absolutely. Just being available once again, running my route as fast as I can, doing my 111, and ultimately that's how I pay up.
How satisfying is today to be asking for this week and then bring out this
Very satisfying. Proves my ability, proves that I trust in myself, and it also proves that my team trusts in me. So I appreciate that for them, love that from me, and we got to keep building.
CeeDee, how much of the improvements in the offense the last few weeks do you think is just more reps, time on task, versus like tweaks and changes that you guys are making?
Staying on schedule, being us, not necessarily letting the defense dictate our plays or players, staying available, staying healthy, and going out and playing fast.
CeeDee Lamb, after an incredible game here against the Rams, and 12 catches, a career high, 158 yards, and a couple of touchdowns.
CeeDee, how do you think that Tyler Smith played today as a guard?
What do you think about Jake Ferguson, Tyler Broaddus up front?
CeeDee, did you feel like that Brian Anger is holding the ball well?
What are your thoughts on Butter Aubrey?
Yeah. I always love that when you ask somebody else a question about,
the other guys.
Another guy.
And
I think I would walk up to Ferguson and say, man, I'm noticing this.
What do you think about CeeDee today?
Yeah, what do you think about CeeDee?
Hell, he was awesome. Hey, Bland, another pick six. What do you think about Donon Bland?
Oh,
CeeDee, though.
I'm sorry.
And you could hear him get a little bit, I wouldn't say feisty, but
Calvin Watkins? What's Calvin Watkins doing?
Calvin's my guy. I love Calvin.
Yeah.
But
was that a Calvin Watkins?
That was
question?
Calvin, and
Calvin's
never backing down. You've seen that firsthand in the locker room.
He went toe-to-toe with Jay Ratliff one time, and I was thinking, oh, my gosh, Calvin's life's about to be ended here. But, no, he stood up. Calvin's a tough son of a gun.
Calvin's a badass. He really is.
Yeah.
But, CeeDee specifying, look, I'm not just a slot receiver.
Right.
He's not.
He's a receiver.
He's not. But he does have tremendous success out of the slot. CeeDee, according to Next Gen Stats today, became just the 4th receiver to finish with multiple receptions on 5 different routes over the last 2 seasons. Tyreek Hill's done it twice. And Lamb recorded over 3 receptions over expected today, which is the 4th most in the game this season, one of which was that outstanding catch he had along the sideline in the second half. Very Des Bryant-esque, the way he went up and snatched that ball.
I tell you what, though, he is he talks about all the work, and Dak talks about all the work, the days in the Dak yard when it's 100 degrees outside and nobody wants to be there, but they go and work, and then they do things at the Star, and and CeeDee putting on more weight, the strength that he has. We saw when he was drafted what type of player he was coming out of Oklahoma, with that ability to catch the football, run after catch. But he has really developed even further. He's taken his game to a whole nother level now since he's been in the NFL, because he was always a very talented, outstanding football player at Oklahoma, but he's now at a completely different level, where I think you have to talk about him when you're throwing the names of the top receivers in the NFL. His name is that it should be among that group.
Are we, and we saw the chemistry and the connection with Brandon Cooks at camp on the other side. Like we've known that they've had this ability, Dak, to get the ball down the field to Brandon Cooks. Now, it's interesting, especially all the home games. The games have gotten out of hand to where they haven't necessarily had to throw the ball. I know we've watched the All-22, and you've talked about this. There's times where Brandon Cooks is open, ball hasn't gone his way. But is this maybe one of those games, especially going into next week against Philly, where now Brandon Cooks is going to start getting going, and you've got that complementary two really good receivers?
You've got to. It's nice to see Ferguson have the type of game that he had today. Brandon Cooks, in my opinion, is the best route runner on this team. When you talk about his ability to close cushion, plant foot, drive, in, out, whichever direction he has to go. The fourth down play was a drag to him. That's a confident throw, confident catch. He's just got that type of ability, and he has had that ability everywhere he's gone. It's a shame, and it always makes you wonder, why is Brandon Cooks a 1,000-yard receiver, and then but there's been a lot of teams that have given up first-round picks to get Brandon Cooks on their roster. He's that talented of a guy.
He is. Now, we got this question from our buddy Bobby Belt, who is driving home listening. We were talking about the offensive line. And should the Cowboys, no matter how they feel about the line, every draft, just go ahead and take one in the first 100 picks? In the first three rounds, they just go ahead and take a lineman.
Yeah, I think that, to me, and I think there's been a time where, but they've had that where a couple of guys haven't developed like that. When you look at some guys, what they've done, they've got some guys that they've tried to bring in and just have.
Chaz Green was one who we mentioned earlier. That was several years ago, but that was a guy that they took and tried to develop.
Right. I mean, I think they got fortunate on T.J. Bass.
Yep, T.J. Bass looks like a player.
T.J. Bass was not a draft pick, but they obviously spent some funds, some money to go get a guy like that. But he's a guy that absolutely should have been drafted. But it just let's go, and guys like that. They've tried. Who's our guy?
Josh Ball.
Josh Ball. I mean, they've tried to draft guys. And then, it's not wait till the 6th, 7th round. There's been some 4th, 5th round picks that they've tried it. It just really hasn't worked out that way.
I mean, one that has and who's been a good starter is Broaddus. And we mentioned earlier, it seemed like Aaron Donald beat Broaddus once. And he's arguably the best, a Hall of Fame player, one of the best defensive players ever.
Aaron Donald gets you one-on-one. Zach Martin? Who does Zach Martin?
You got Zach Martin, too.
Zach Martin.
And we talked to Zach this week on the G-Bag Nation. We're two fish of the G-Bag Nation, catching the flagship 105.3 The Fan from 2 to 7, and we talk every Thursday with Zach, usually around 5 o'clock. He talked about the challenges that and those two have been linked together since college.
Yeah, that's a tough ask right there. And but Broaddus, I think some of the issues. I think everybody. I always say this though, Zach. When you look at offensive line play, you grade 65 plays. Mm-hmm. If they have 3 bad plays, you're feeling pretty good about your offensive line.
Definitely.
If they've got 6 to 8 bad plays in the game, now you've got some issues. Now you've got the thoughts about, are you running the ball well enough? Are you protecting well enough? If everybody is in those 65 plays or not doing their job, and it turns into 6 or 7 of those bad plays, there are going to be some issues on the offensive line.
Well, I mentioned Brandon Cooks. We actually had our buddy KG catch up with Brandon Cooks, and he, of course, had the deep touchdown, had a third down conversion, a fourth down conversion. Here is Brandon Cooks with Kevin Gray.
What was the mentality and the message coming out of the bye week and what you wanted to bring to the Rams that you guys brought today?
I think the biggest message was continue to build, not let the bye week be one of those things you come out and have a lag, have a great emphasis in practice and focus on the details, and you're just really going out there and execute at a high level.
How did it feel, that 25-yard shot deep down the right side? Dak hit you perfectly in the end zone there. How'd that
it felt great. I mean, you talk about trust, just continue to just build that trust. That's what, that's all I'm focused on. So in those big time situations, you got someone else to be able to go to.
And Dak himself, 4 touchdowns today, moving around with his legs.
Yeah.
What'd you think about Dak's performance? How he commanded the
I think
offense?
It was awesome. And I love to see it. I think built on, a couple weeks ago before the bye. And I think we keep doing that. I mean, it can be really dangerous.
Last one for you. What's the confidence level of this team right now? Back-to-back win against the Chargers and the Rams now going into next week.
Yeah, I think the confidence is great. I think the thing my message to the team will be, don't let that confidence tip over to be cocky, right? Let's continue to stay confident, but also humble at the same time, and just continue to focus on ourselves and tune out all the other noise.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
The Archer, after a really nice game for Brandon Cooks.
Well, he gave you one, too.
He sure did.
I'll tell you what, and that's the route very similar to the one that he ran that he scored on. We've seen that route before, and he's been open on that. Dak tried to fit the ball one time inside to Schoonmaker on the cover 2 with the safety split, and, unfortunately, Schoonmaker didn't make the catch. But there's been plenty of times where Brandon Cooks has been open, and the quarterback just, hasn't quite seen him.
Certainly we'll need him next week against Philly in a battle for first place in the NFC East, which, of course, will be right here on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. We'll have pregame right around 12:30. We'll have kickoff at 3:25, and our postgame will roll until 9:30, as that is going to be a fun one anytime it's Eagles week, especially the way these two teams have gone back and forth, trading blows over the last couple of seasons. All right, we will get your defensive play of the game coming up on the other side, and we'll hear from a few of your defensive stars. How about Donon Bland? How about Micah Parsons, who left the stadium today in a Lions onesie, because the Lion is always hungry? You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
And they snap it to Prescott, who looks right. It's not there. He escapes left. He'll run for a first down.
Just like football, when it comes to crypto, it's important to have a team you can trust. With blockchain.com, I know I'm in good hands. Since 2011, they've been trusted by millions around the world to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrency.
Prescott's going to run this himself. Run it up the middle, and he scores.
Whether you're new to crypto or an active trader, they've got you covered. What are you waiting for? Get started at blockchain.com.
Apply now to the University of North Texas Dallas Cowboys online MBA in Sport Entertainment Management. This unparalleled graduate degree combines UNT's high-caliber Tier 1 academics with a world-class business expertise of the Dallas Cowboys. Designed for the working professional with immersive in-person boot camps and online courses, the program can be completed in 12 to 24 months. UNT, a proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Hey Dallas Cowboys fans, hope y'all are ready for game day. We all know a car accident can put anyone on the sidelines. The law boss, Michael Uvalli, is here to help get you back on your feet and yelling, "Go Cowboys!" So, if you've been injured in a car accident, don't wait, call now. Our team is available 24/7 to take your call at 1-800-LAW-BOSS. That's 1-800-LAWBOSS. The Law Boss, the official personal injury attorney sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Principal office, Dallas, Texas.
Go behind the scenes at the home of the Dallas Cowboys with AT&T Stadium Tours presented by SeatGeek. See what makes AT&T Stadium a unique, world-class facility by taking a VIP guided tour. Check out the owner's experience or indulge in an exclusive art tour. Walk through the locker rooms, step on the playing field, check out the contemporary art collection, and more. There's something for everyone. Book your tickets today. Visit attstadium.com/tours for tickets and information.
Every moment, every touchdown, every yard is a reason to celebrate. If anyone knows that, Ciroc does. From the tailgate to the touchdown, Ciroc Ultra Premium Vodka makes game day a smooth one. And with flavors that never fumble, man, this game day is an instant win. This is Ciroc, made from fine French grapes.
made for football. Get Ciroc and Ciroc Vodka Spritz during the next Cowboys game. Please drink responsibly. Ciroc Vodka, 40% alcohol by volume, imported from France by Diageo, New York, New York.
Snap Raise is the online fundraising platform for athletic directors and group leaders that has helped raise over $600 million for more than 100,000 programs in the U.S. We created this solution to give group leaders like you everything you need to successfully fundraise online. With Snap Raise, you can collect and manage funds securely, get a custom webpage for your campaign, personalized donor engagement, track participants and incentives, and access support whenever needed. Snap Raise is part of the Snap Mobile family, a proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys. For more information, visit onsnap.com/raise.
You know that sound anywhere. It's the crisp crunch of that first nacho chip. With its perfect cheese to sour cream ratio sitting atop a layer of delicious beans, it's a sip away from perfection. That's what we're looking for. Add a delicious, refreshing Pepsi and we've achieved absolute nacho nirvana. Because while you can pile those nachos high with every spicy, cheesy, savory topping, there's no topping a cool Pepsi finish. Nachos, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
So 10-3, Dallas by 7, last 43 seconds of the first quarter.
Short shelf life on these kickers.
I'm saying. Rams in white shirts, blue helmets, and yellow pants. They're going to blitz Stafford. He throws it to the left. Picked off by Bland. He's done it again. Look at me. My eye came back home. A house call for Donon Bland.
Oh, what a great call by the voice of your Cowboys, Brad Sham there, and he sure did do it again. Thank you very much, Matthew Stafford. I'll take this one to the house as Donon Bland gets his third pick six. Absolutely incredible. And he's done it now with a leading 4 interceptions. Hey, why'd you throw to him? You probably shouldn't. There may be some other corners you can attack in that secondary, but Donon Bland has been absolutely brilliant for this football team, as that indeed is our defensive stop of the game, brought to you by Reliant, an NRG company. And speaking of Donon Bland, the man of the hour, he spoke to the media following a tremendous game for him.
Donon, how does it feel to be tied with CeeDee Lamb as the leading touchdown scorer for the Dallas Cowboys at this point of the season?
It's something that I expected, so I just feel blessed, Just feel blessed.
Can you walk us a little bit through the pick six and what you saw?
I seen Cooper Kupp, that was in the stack. Seen he had an option route, so he broke out. And then as soon as I turned, I seen that ball and I said, "Thank you, just thank God." So it was so good.
How important has it been? How valuable has it been for you to be able to step in as a boundary corner in the absence of Diggs and still produce at the high level that you were doing as a nickel corner?
Oh, it means a lot. Diggs, he was always wanting to get the ball, so just to be able to step in just feel good.
Hurst was kind of joking about it across the way a second ago. It's like quarterbacks forget how to throw the ball when they throw it in his direction. It's behind, it's tipped, it's always over here.
Yeah.
You're kind of a magnet for it.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. It's like I keep finding the ball,
You made Cowboys history. 3 pick sixes in one season. Most by Cowboys player ever. Do you have a goal?
That top of my goal. I had at least one in there, so I got to rethink about it. It was halfway through the season, so.
Okay, you got to rethink your goal. Now that you've hit 3.
Do you feel you guys all seemed really disappointed with the effort and the output against San Francisco a couple weeks ago? How do you feel like you guys as a unit have bounced back these last 2 weeks?
I feel good. After that, we got to step our game up as a defense, and that's what we've been doing coming off this bye. We're working on that to be dominant.
You guys going to LA and pretty much close the game out on defense. You go into the bye week, you get refreshed, you recover, you come out and you basically walk the LA Rams. How important is this kind of game as far as keeping momentum going into Philadelphia?
Oh, definitely. We always talk about keeping that momentum going to the bye and then keeping that momentum going after the bye. A lot of guys get relaxed sometimes after the bye, so it was a good thing we kept our minds tight.
Donon generally say quarterbacks just forget how to throw the ball when they're going in your direction. Just how does it feel whenever the ball is kind of coming in your direction the way that it does?
It feels great, But I was just telling the guys, like last week, I dropped those 2 weeks ago, I dropped those 2, and I was like, I got to get y'all back. So I'm glad I came back with pick 6.
How do you feel about setting this record in 3 pick sixes in just 7 games, and that's a Cowboy record? How does that feel?
I wouldn't think it would have came this quick, so I would just try to do my job.
You talked, there's a lot of discussion about filling in for Diggs and what he did on the field. who's really stepped up in the secondary to fill that emotional void and that juice that you guys lost in the secondary with him
That was just everybody in the room. We know what we lost. We lost a big playmaker. And he out for the whole season. So we were just all crushed. So we was all trying to come together and keep our minds right.
Ron, sorry for this, but just complimentary football, all three phases scoring in that period, in that 10-3 to 26-3 period, led by your pick six. How important is that for the team just to have all three phases come together?
Oh, definitely. It shows how how dominant you guys are. And then there's always plays out there. That's what Q always says. You got one touchdown in the book, so there's always more plays.
How much fun is it for the defense? I mean, you go out there, you get turnovers, and then you go to the sideline, and then you see Dak and CeeDee having games like they're having, Jake Ferguson getting involved, Cooks getting involved. How fun is it from the defensive side to see the offense get going like that?
Oh, it's definitely fun. You see guys on the other side getting happy, doing their thing. You get happy too, try to do some more on the defense, try to go get the ball too. So it's been good. It compliments both sides.
There he is, Donon Bland, who had our defensive stop of the game with that pick six and was great. Led the team in tackles as well with 7, just to complete. And as they noted there in the questions, complete all-around win for the Cowboys, all three phases with the block. And Turpin, very close on a couple of returns. There did score on one, just got brought back for holding.
And Turpin playing some snaps at wide receiver, not when the game was still in the little bit of the balance there where – before the Cowboys really kind of opened things up. So we've seen Turpin get some opportunities. Actually feel like that maybe a little bit further along with how you can rely on him as to Tolbert. I feel like that they're trying to get Tolbert. They're trying to get him acclimated to do some things, but I kind of feel like there's been some big play capability now more with Turpin getting those offensive snaps.
Yeah, I agree with you. 877-881-1053. The number to call, the number to text here on the official postgame show, your Dallas Cowboys.
There's guys out on the West Coast that right now when you look at Donon Bland, guys in college, college coaches and stuff, and they follow and they see Donon Bland and Fresno, and there's nothing against Fresno. The guys in the Valley play some really tough football. I mean, that is a tough-minded program with some really good players. But there's some Pac-12 coaches right now looking at Donon Bland and going, what the hell were we thinking?
No doubt.
I bring that up all the time when you're recruiting. It's funny how these players go and you're like, why did we not recruit? If I was one of these coaches, at UCLA or, if I was Chip Kelly or any one of these guys that, in the Pac-12, I would go, why did we not recruit Donon Bland? Mm-hmm. And maybe there's something there that I don't know about, but, man, to me, he's done nothing but come in here and show that he could play at a high level. And I think there was some mistakes that were made. Hey, good for Fresno getting a guy like that, and good for the Cowboys scouting department for making that all happen right there.
All right, Zach Wolchuck alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Brian Broaddus here in the final hour of the postgame show. We will have an extended postgame edition, the post with our buddies Chris Arnold and Kevin Gray locally on the flagship 105 through the Fan on the Odyssey app. But we do have a call. Let's go to Jim in Round Rock. Jim, how you doing, man? You're on the official postgame show of the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, fellas, Wolchuck brought us, it was a good game today. And Broaddus, I just go back in my mind to postgame last year's Green Bay Packers game, and you said, I just don't feel like we've got the guy that we can go to when you need a play. And on that fourth down with Cooks today, I thought, well, maybe that's that guy. And because any other time, I kind of felt confident they were going to pick up that fourth down. So look, great game today. Man, really pleased. Just so happy to see Dak just put it together. You said it earlier, Brian, and Wolchuck, I think you said it too. I mean, he's seeing the field better.
He is. The eyes are downfield. Eyes are downfield.
Yeah, and he's making those plays, and we can. And you said it. Both of you said it. It's going to take a little while for this offense to get together, and it's looking like it's coming together. We're going to have our hands full next week. I watched a little bit of the Eagles and the Commanders. But guys, I tell you, this this NFL, as you say, Brian, she's a strange lady.
Yeah.
You know, you got the Kansas City Chiefs fighting around down there, and you got San Francisco and dogfight. And listen, I think we're going to be all right. But man, just real pleased with the game planning. I know what I said the other day, Brian. It looks like they did a little bit of that self-scouting and that cross the hall stuff may work. So you got to give it to your coach. You got to give it to your quarterback, and really, hey, you got to give it to the post-game show because you always bring your A game. I appreciate you boys so much.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate that.
We appreciate you, buddy. Always appreciate Big Jim calling in here, 877-881-1053. If you always want to be a part of the conversation, you just call or text. But, yeah, they did. I mean, it seems like they took away some things that were positives against the Chargers, and we're starting to see an expanded adaptive offense here. Mike McCarthy deserves a ton of credit. So does Brian Schottenheimer as well. The one question will be moving forward, and I'm sure the offensive line injuries have a part to do with it, but can they start to improve and get a better, consistent running game moving forward throughout the rest of the season?
That's the bigger question. That's, to me, the biggest question. The offense, man, I know the first series of the game, it didn't look like they could block me or you running, trying to
You give me a lot of credit there.
Yeah, but they were really, boy, that was just a struggle, but they kind of figured things out. Dak is playing, I mean, the last couple of weeks, I feel like he's playing at a really nice level. The routes down the field, the completions, all those things. But, man, they have got to figure out a way to create more space in their running game. And I think Pollard can be a physical runner, but you've got to get him to and through the hole. That needs to be line one, job one now to get him to and through that hole.
No question. And when you look at next week with the health, we'll see moving forward. Awesome Richards, came in for Udoga today. No word yet, and we'll get probably more of an idea tomorrow. Hopefully Tyron Smith is good to go with that neck stinger. And, I'm sure he's going to do everything in his power to play against the Eagles next week. I mean, now you got a battle for first place in your hands, 7-1 with the Eagles. Cowboys certainly have looked much better after that game against San Francisco, and we can do a little scoreboard update as the Niners are hosting the Bengals and down and trailing right now. They might lose 3 in a row if that score holds as they're in the fourth quarter. But, I mean, what are some things that are standing out to you? Early thoughts as we kind of look ahead to that game against the Eagles next week?
I'll tell you what, the Eagles have managed to find ways, 7-1 right now, and they've been in games where they haven't looked their absolute best. And that's what scares me a little bit about this team. They kind of figure some things out. Their receiving core, the running game, the physicality, what they play with their offensive line, their defense, the front seven. We'll see. I say front seven. We'll see about the linebackers there. Is Kevin Byard adding him as a safety? Mm-hmm. Does that give them a little bit more of some thump? But they gave up 31 points today. To the Commanders.
Sam Howell had a great game.
And the Commanders have had their share of problems, I believe, scoring points here the last. They get 7 points last week against the Giants.
Absolutely.
So, it's for them to hang. We'll see. The one team, I don't think Dallas is – the way they play San Francisco is, I don't think always is great. I don't think there's a whole lot of confidence playing.
Seems like that's the bad matchup.
That's the bad matchup. The matchup against the Eagles, they honestly believe Dak Prescott, his career record of going and playing Philadelphia is not bad at all. So there are games where I feel like that they go in and thinking we can win this game. Maybe San Francisco was one of those days where it just was a bad day at the office. But, man, I'll tell you what, Philadelphia, I don't think this team will back down from Philadelphia. I really don't.
Yeah,
but they've done a great – Philly's done a nice – I say great. Philly's done a nice job, 7-1, and I don't think they've played their best football yet.
Yeah, I'm with you. And look, Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, that connection, I think it's the fourth straight game with the two having over 125 yards receiving for A.J. Brown. He passed a tie with Calvin Johnson there. But – man, Dak today said, let's make it 3 next week. I'm in a rhythm. He looked really good. And as you mentioned, just the most recent meeting, Christmas Eve here at AT&T Stadium, Dak played one of his best games against the Eagles. And when they went to Philly last year,
That was a Cooper Rush game.
It was a Cooper Rush start, but they were in it until the fourth quarter, and then
Right.
some interceptions. The turnovers kind of went the Eagles' way. And granted, yes, Jalen Hurts did not play in the rematch on Christmas Eve either. Now you'll get both teams, both starting quarterbacks at full strength. That is going to be a really, really fun matchup, and we'll have all week to preview that one. Of course, you'll be able to hear it on 105.3 The Fan, your home of Cowboys radio on the flagship there, 105.3 The Fan. But here, of course, the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network, we got you covered. 43-20, Cowboys improved to 5-2. They've won 11 straight here at AT&T Stadium. They're 3-0 at home this year. Dak with 4 touchdowns. We will give you your player of the game on the other side. Plus, we'll hear from Micah Parsons as well. How about we look around the rest of the National Football League, check into some of those score updates. Most of the late games now rolling on into the fourth quarter. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag & Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag & Turf, the official Ag & Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
So, my buds and I are at Buffalo Wild Wings for game day Sunday, and there is football everywhere, except when I blink. I once missed a game.
Your Dallas Cowboys. And by Ford, your Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas.
Prescott's in the gun again. Pollard on his right. Back to throw, looking right, deep to the end zone. Leaping catch for Jake Ferguson. Touchdown Cowboys to start the game.
Dak Prescott is our player of the game, brought to you by Jack Black. Want to use what the pros use? Get Jack Black. It is the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit getjackblack.com today. What a game for Dak Prescott. He was simply brilliant, as he is indeed in rhythm, as he said post-game with the media. 304 yards, 25 of 31, 4 touchdowns and an interception. That red zone tip off Sean McEwen also ran for 19 yards. With those 4 passing touchdowns today, Dak now has 8 career games with 4 scores through the air. That ties Danny White for second in Cowboys history. Tony Romo, of course, has the most 4-touchdown games in team history with 10. Dak closing in on that Cowboys record as well. But, hey, I get it. With Dak, it's going to be measured by what do you do in the postseason and what do you do against the quote-unquote elite defenses and the good teams. Certainly, it was a bad performance against the Niners, but he has bounced back, had his best game of the year, we thought 2 weeks ago, I should say, prior to the bye against the Chargers.
Yeah.
And today was even better.
No, today was outstanding. And that game, I know we've had discussions before about Dak needs this, Dak needs that. Well, Dak didn't have a running game against the Chargers. He really didn't have, the blocking that it was good, but not what it needed to be. I say the word good, but he had to move, he had to run, he had to buy himself some time, and he was able to do that. Dak won that game. You put it on his back, and he won that Chargers game. Tonight, I felt like, though, early in this football game, man, they had some serious struggles up front, kind of found their footing a little bit, but Dak's ability to keep his eyes down the field, the routes that are able to develop, this Rams secondary, I was watching the All-22, and I had not seen anybody light them up like Dak Prescott lit them up today. Great route running, great job by the quarterback of finding the open guys and then making the Rams pay when those receivers weren't covered well enough.
Absolutely. Zach Wolchuck alongside Brian Broaddus after a 43-20 Cowboys win over the Rams. They're now 5-2, looking ahead to a 7-1 matchup against the Eagles for first place in the NFC East. Of course, we're hanging out at the Miller Lite Club here at AT&T Stadium. Brian, looking around the rest of the National Football League, we gave some of the noon scores earlier. A couple of good ones going on right now. Fourth quarter, Browns on the road leading Seattle. That's got big implications in terms of standings in the NFC race. Seahawks at 4-2. P.J. Walker, who's getting yet another start for the injured Deshaun Watson. He's got 248 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Amari Cooper, 6 catches and 89 yards.
Wow.
Hey, that's a tough place to go and play, man, in Seattle. Browns hanging tough. Kareem Hunt having a nice game there. Of course, they lost Nick Chubb for the season. And then Jerome Ford, who came in, also got hurt. But they're hanging tough. And how about this? The Broncos at home, your buddy Sean Payton, leading the Chiefs 14-9. Pat Mahomes, we got a report earlier that he was dealing with flu-like symptoms, was going to gut it out. But
the
certainly,
Michael Jordan game, huh?
Yeah, he's not looking like himself. 190 yards and an interception today. Jerry Jeudy's got 50 yards receiving and a touchdown as the Broncos lead the Chiefs at home.
How much time is left in that Broncos game, by the way?
Fourth quarter just started. They've got basically a whole quarter left.
Yeah. Am I right about this? I think that the Chiefs have beaten the Broncos like 15 straight times.
They own the West. I think you probably are. Them and the Raiders, it seems like they never lose.
There was one of those weird stats where I'm thinking, like the Broncos and the Chiefs, like the last 15 games have been all Kansas City. So, I hope that Sean and the Broncos can hang on. That'd be an outstanding win today. This NFL, we talk about the games. Sometimes you have these teams that look outstanding 2-3 weeks, and then the next time they go out and play, it's really, really a struggle. It's never easy to win the game. People say that's kind of coach speak and all that. No, it is really hard to win games in the National Football League.
Yeah.
Ask the Houston Texans today. They go to Carolina and get beat. They let Carolina drive the ball 17 plays, 80-something yards to kick the game-winning field goal with no time on the clock. That's congratulations to the Panthers for getting the victory. But, man, that's kind of a bad loss for a young team like Houston who was trying to build some momentum.
And you've also got the Ravens up 21-6. Cardinals had that one tied for a while. And
I think Josh Dobbs just threw an interception.
Yeah.
I think I saw.
Lamar Jackson has 152 yards and a touchdown through the air. DeMarcado, who is now starting for the Cardinals, former TCU Horned Frog, he's leading the way rushing for Arizona. Mark Andrews, 4 catches, 40 yards and a TD. Ravens looking to try and make it 6-2 after they clobbered the Lions last week. My goodness gracious. That was a blowout game. This one's interesting, though. I'm sure Cowboy fans are very interested because this could be 3 straight losses since the 49ers had a big win over our Cowboys. Bengals on the road leading the Niners 24-10. It would drop San Francisco to 5-3. Bengals would go to 4-3. These two teams seem like they might be going in opposite directions. Bengals started the season. They were struggling. Joe Burrow's got the calf injury. He has 239 yards and 3 touchdowns today. And Brock Purdy, it was 17-10, Cincinnati leading. They're in the red zone looking to go score, and he threw a costly interception as well for San Francisco. So we'll see if that one holds. Still a lot of time left in that one, 11 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, what's the common thread with some of these losses for the 49ers? Turnovers. That's something Brock Purdy really hasn't been a part of, and all of a sudden now we're seeing him kind of show up.
Earlier today, Vikings go to Lambeau. Packers now 2-5. I just didn't think that we would actually see it. In my lifetime, born in 91, of course, it was right when the Favre era started. I haven't seen the Packers not be good, not be relevant really at all. They had the 1 year where they stunk. Of course, they move on.
They had
from
some
Mike
Aaron
McCarthy.
Rodgers bad injury years where they didn't.
But
this is. But I use the Packers as an example because the Packers move on from Aaron Rodgers, right? So they feel like it's necessary to do that. But now they're playing their guy, and with Jordan Love, he's playing, and they're learning about him. And if the Packers are bad enough, what will they do? They'll go draft a quarterback. They'll like the most teams, you got to figure out your situation. You got to figure out your quarterback situation, and the Packers are learning. They're learning that potentially that either they're going to have to get weapons and help Jordan Love, or that there needs to be somebody, Hartman or whoever, Williams, whatever quarterback you want to look at, that's where the Packers would probably look if in fact that they're in that spot to do that.
And the Vikings, who had a terrible start to the season, now 4-4. And
it's Creed.
Right. Yep. It is Creed. And, the bad thing is Kirk Cousins, who had 274 yards and a couple of touchdowns. Now it seems like an Achilles, probably a season ender there for Kirk Cousins. And we'll see what they do at quarterback moving forward. Titans, the Mayo Man, Will Levis, 28-23. Titans at home. They get the win. Will Levis, 4 touchdowns, 3 of them to DeAndre Hopkins.
Somewhere Eric Chiafalo needs to sit down and watch some Will Levis tape, right?
Man, that guy's
he was blaming me for all that Will Levis problems.
Like, no, if you watch Will Levis 2 years ago, especially, the tape's really good. Last year, poor guy's getting absolutely killed just about every snap, and he just gets back up and asks for more. Dude's tough as nails.
He is tough as nails. I tried to tell you bums that, and nobody would listen to me.
He is. I was with you on Will Levis. I thought that Will Levis had a little moxie. Yeah. I had him as the number 2 quarterback.
I remember the draft show that we were having some big-time discussions about Will Levis.
We did. And look, you never know. It's tough to predict.
Oh, it's one game, of course.
It is one game.
Having fun.
But Will Levis had
he looks better than anybody else playing quarterback there right now.
He's won that job. Now, Will Levis had a lot of traits that you definitely liked there at Kentucky.
You sure about that?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
Outside of putting the mayo in the coffee. Yeah. That one was a little bit weird.
I just want to make sure, though, that you're do I need to go back and throw the challenge
flag?
Go back
and look. Yeah.
Throw the challenge flag?
I was not a Will Levis slander guy.
Okay.
Not at all.
I want to make sure of that.
I was not anti-Will Levis. I thought Bryce Young was quarterback 1. I actually had Will Levis higher than C.J. Stroud, which doesn't look good right now. But I did.
Well, Bryce Young got a win today, and C.J. Stroud didn't in a game of 1 and 2 matchups there.
Saints knocked off the Colts 38-27. This one was close for a while. Jonathan Taylor was solid on the ground, but Derek Carr ended up with 310 yards, a couple of touchdowns. Dolphins, as Tua remains unbeaten against Bill Belichick. They improved to 6-2. They get a home win over the Patriots, 31-17. Tua with 3 touchdown passes. Raheem Mostert scored. Jalen Waddle 7 catches, buck 21 and a touchdown. And Tyreek Hill 8 games into the season. He's halfway to his 2,000 prediction.
Over 1,000, huh?
Incredible. In overtime, Jets were able to beat the Giants 13-10 in an ugly game. Giants had -9 net yards passing today.
And that's got to be a record for a team that got into an overtime game, right?
It's an NFL record.
Okay.
And it's a bad one.
It's a bad one to have.
Jags, man, they own the Steelers, especially in Pittsburgh. How many times have Jacksonville gone on the road and knocked off the Steelers?
To the ketchup bottle and knocked them off, huh?
Yes. 20-10. Jacksonville now 6-2 on the year.
Steelers cannot score, can they?
They're struggling.
They got points last week against the Rams, but man, they've just overall it's been a problem.
Yet still a winning record at 4-3. Jags though at 6-2. Travis Etienne another touchdown. Eagles were able to hold off the Commanders 38-31. A.J. Brown 8 catches, 130 yards, and a couple of touchdowns. And then you mentioned the Panthers 15-13. They kicked the game-winning field goal
there
against the Texans. Yeah, you're going to be at the drawing board trying to figure out what goes on. And then, of course, tomorrow night, Monday Night Football, it's the Raiders taking on the Lions. Sunday night, it's going to be the Chargers and the Bears. Not the best Sunday night game, but maybe it'll end up being fun. Of course, our Cowboys got the win 43-20.
There you go. That's all matters. Got to prep now for the Eagles.
We do have to prep for the Eagles. Any final thoughts on this one here today as the Cowboys win it by 23?
Great job of moving the football today. Nice job of the quarterback finding receivers. Receivers did a good job opening things up. Offensive line kind of figured out some things to give you some protection. The defense did not let this Rams wide receiver crew take over the game. I was worried about that. Tyler Higbee, great job all around of really containing Matthew Stafford and sending them back to L.A. with a loss.
Cowboys love playing at AT&T Stadium. Jets 30-10, Patriots 38-33, and now the Rams 43-20. Absolutely wild. I believe next home game will be after Eagles. They'll host the Giants, and Daniel Jones has circled that as the game that he will try and return. So they'll get their rematch against the Giants after going there and opening the season with a victory on Monday Night Football. If you missed it earlier, Jerry Jones did talk with reporters, said not likely to make a trade before the deadline, said nothing's cooking. But they
never know.
They don't need a lot of help at running back, he said, but everyone's looking for offensive line depth. But you never know. They're always open for business, right?
Absolutely.
Always. Thank you very much to everybody involved in this one. Of course, our buddy Ruben Portillo, who is excellent here when it comes to engineering. Tim Collins, Gavin Spittle, our buddy Alec Medford back in Master Control. Larry Flores, Justin Honore, of course, Eric Chiafalo doing the pregame and then getting the heck out of here.
He was okay today.
He was okay. He was okay.
Yeah, he was okay.
It was like a B performance.
Who
was better between the two of us?
You're always better.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I needed that for my soul.
Yeah.
But he's my guy. You know that. Brian Broaddus, the Super Bowl winning scout. You're always a pleasure, man.
Thank you, man.
You make this job fun. To everybody that's been listening and hanging out with us, we always appreciate you. 877-881-1053. The number to call, the number to text. We'll be back next week. It'll be a 12:30 pregame. 3:25 kick as first place is on the line in the NFC's Cowboys at Filthy for a battle of first place. As I mentioned, that is going to be a blast. I'm Zach Wolchuck. Until next week, hugs and hand pounds, everybody. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
People will always come and go in our lives, but we all know those few who never left, the ones who make you stronger, build you up when you're broken down.